like we'll be the first.
We're good that. She said me, so I'll be kind of opportunity. Talking about me. Long story.
Is it this an inside joke?
No, we might have a hot mic. So. I'll take it.
You're right. You can't do that. I mean, you probably feel like you would. Right.
She should.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'd like to call the regular scheduled meeting of the Edgecombe County Commissioners to order. Mr. Evans, safety instructions, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call Ms. Natalie Best, our Deputy County Manager, to give us our safety instructions.
Good evening. To provide for the safety of those attending this meeting, please listen to the following instructions in case of an emergency. First, please take a moment to note where your exits are. If an emergency arises that prompts us to evacuate, please exit this room in a quick and orderly manner through one of the two doors to your right, and then proceed to the nearest stairwell, directions to which are indicated by the exit signs. Once you exit the building, we ask that you safely cross Granville Street, which is the street that runs beside our building, to our parking lot to be safely away from the building. Our staff will provide direction and assistance. In the case of a tornado warning, we ask that you exit this room into the hallway, where we will all remain until it is safe to exit. In the event of an active shooter in the building, if there is an accessible escape path, please run and try to evacuate the premises. If you can't evacuate, please find a place to hide where you are less likely to be found and lock any doors that you can. And as a last resort, and only if your life is in imminent danger, please fight. Our staff will provide additional direction and assistance on what to do. Thank you for your attention.
Prayer, Reverend.
May we have a moment of silence in memory of Mr. Thorne's brother, Will. Eternal God, our Father, we give thanks for another day. Thank you for the changing of the temperature, but never change our minds to do the wrong thing for our citizens. We pray that you will bless us and keep us and guide us and direct us, that we will make the right decision to make our county a better place in which to live. Bless us as we serve through Christ our Lord, we do pray. Amen.
In your agenda package, you have the minutes of the previous meeting. If there are no additions or corrections, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. A public hearing is called to order relative to the proposed schedule, standards, and rules to be used in the 2024 reappraisals of real property in Edgecombe County. Mr. Peters, would you please read the public notice?
Yes, sir. The proposed schedule, standards, and rules to be used in the 2024 reappraisal of real property in Edgecombe County have been presented to the Board of Commissioners. A copy of the schedules has been placed in the office of the county manager and in the office of the tax assessor, where they will remain available for public inspection. A public hearing on the proposed schedule, standards, and rules will be held by the Board of County Commissioners at their regularly scheduled meeting on Monday, October 2nd, 2023 at 7 p.m. in the Jonathan Felton Commissioners Room of the Administrative Building at 201 St. Andrews Street, Tarboro, North Carolina, 27886. Teresa M. Lewis, Edgecombe County Tax Administrator.
Mr. Evans?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. As you know, it was presented for your consideration and review at your last meeting, the new schedule of values. We're in the revaluation process, so now we have give the opportunity for our citizens to respond to those schedule of values, hence the public hearing tonight. Ask Ms. Teresa Lewis, our tax administrator, if there's anything she got a crowd tonight. There she is. Anything you need to add to that?
No, sir.
All right, thank you.
Are there any, I would like to call for public comments from the public at this time. Is there anybody who would like to speak during this public hearing? Please come forward and state your name and address for the public record. Is there anybody to speak? Hearing none. I'd like to join the public hearing. What is it? No action.
No action tonight, sir.
I'd like to join the public hearing. Item number 2, a public hearing is called to order to receive citizen input regarding a rezone request for property located on Colonial Road, Tarboro, from AR 30 to R 20. The public hearing is called to order. Mr. Peters, would you please read the public notice?
Yes, sir. Public notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the Board of Commissioners of Edgecombe County on Monday, October 2nd, 2023, at 7:00 p.m. in the Jonathan Felton Commissioners Room, second floor, County Administrative Building, 201 St. Andrews Street, Tarboro, North Carolina, to consider and act upon a request to rezone property owned by Meadowbrook Properties LLC located on Colonial Road, Tarboro, also identified as parcel number 472668966200. The applicant, C.B. Daughters, requests to rezone property from AR 30 Rural Residential to R 20 Mixed Residential District. Copies of the proposed zoning map amendment are available for public inspection during business hours 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the County Planning Office, Room 205, County Administrative Building, 201 St. Andrews Street, Tarboro, North Carolina. All parties in interest and all interested residents are invited and urged to be present and make their views known. This, the 20th day of September, 2023, by order of the Board of Commissioners of Edgecombe County. Rangy Mungo, clerk to the board.
Ms. Evans?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to call for Ms. Katina Braswell, our planning director, to give staff report on this matter.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Case number 23 RZ02. Mr. C.B. Daughtridge requests to rezone parcel from AR 30 to R 20. The property is located at Colonial Road near US 258 South intersection. Parcel number 472-668-966200. Acreage is approximately 10.6 acres. The property is zoned AR 30 Rural Residential. All adjacent properties are also zoned AR 30. Mr. C.B. Daughtridge requests to rezone property from AR 30 Rural Residential to R 20 Mixed Residential District. The purpose of the request is to allow for development of single-family dwellings. The principal use must meet zoning requirements in the R 20 zoning district per Unified Development Ordinance Table 4.2.1 Principal Use Table. The Planning Board voted unanimously to forward the rezoning request to the Board of Commissioners with a favorable recommendation. The Planning Board stated the rezoning from AR 30 to R 20 is consistent with Edgecombe County's adopted policy guidance as expressed in the 2014 Comprehensive Plan, based on that is consistent with future land use category set for the subject parcel. After the conclusion of a legislative public hearing, the Board of Commissioners shall decide the conventional rezoning application in accordance with the standards in Section 237H review criteria. The decision shall be one of the following: approval of the application, denial of the application, approval of a revised application, or remand of the application to county staff for further consideration. The decision shall be based on legislative discretion of the Board of Commissioners, taking into consideration the recommendation of the Planning Board and the standards in Section 237H review criteria. In making its decision, the Board of Commissioners shall adopt a written statement of reasonableness and consistency with the county's adopted policy guidance in accordance with Section 160D 605 of North Carolina's general statutes.
At this time, I'd like to call for public comments. Is there anybody here to speak during this public hearing? Is there anybody to speak? Hearing none, I'd like to join the public hearing. And the recommendation from the planning board is consideration of approval. Do I get a motion?
So moved.
That needs to be motion to approve the application.
Yes, well, if that's what the motion is. Yeah.
There's a motion to approve the application.
Yes.
I've got a second. Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. I think you can stay put.
Yes, sir.
A public hearing is called to order to receive citizen input regarding a rezoning request for property located at 12615 US 64 alternate west, Rocky Mount, from AR 30 to B2. The public hearing is called to order. Mr. Peters, would you please read the public notice?
Yes, sir. Public notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the Board of Commissioners of Edgecombe County on Monday, October 2nd, 2023, at 7 o'clock p.m. in the Jonathan Felton Commissioners Room, second floor, County Administrative Building, 201 St. Andrews Street, Tarboro, North Carolina, to consider and act upon a request to rezone a property owned by Donna Matthews and Elizabeth Hill located at 12615 US 64 alternate west, Rocky Mount, also identified as parcel number 387070148100. The applicant requests to rezone property from AR 30 Rural Residential / R30 Single Family Residential to B2 General Business District. Copies of the proposed zoning map amendment are available for public inspection during business hours 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the County Planning Office, Room 205, County Administrative Building, 201 St. Andrews Street, Tarboro, North Carolina. All parties in interest and all interested residents are invited and urged to be present and make their views known. This, the 20th day of September 2023, by order of the Board of Commissioners of Edgecombe County, signed Frangie Mungo, clerk to the board.
Mr. Evans?
Again, Mr. Chairman, I'll call on Ms. Braswell to give the staff report.
Case number 23, RZ01. Applicant's request to rezone parcel from AR 30, R30 to B2. Applicants are Donna Matthews and Elizabeth Hill. The property is located at 12615 US 64 alternate west, Rocky Mount. Parcel number 3870-701-48100. The property consists of approximately 5.7 acres. Property is zoned AR 30 rural residential, R30 single family residential. All adjacent properties are also zoned AR 30, R30. Ms. Donna Matthews and Ms. Elizabeth Hill request to rezone property from AR 30 rural residential, R30 single family residential to B2 General Business District. The purpose of the request is to allow for commercial use at the above referenced property. Applicants plan to sell property for establishment of a commercial business. The principal use must meet zoning requirements in the B2 zoning district per Unified Development Ordinance, Table 4.2.1, Principal Use Table. The Planning Board voted unanimously to forward the rezoning request to the Board of County Commissioners with a favorable recommendation. The Planning Board stated the rezoning from AR 30, R30 to B2 is consistent with Edgecombe County's adopted policy guidance as expressed in the 2014 Comprehensive Plan. Based on that, it is consistent with the future land use category set for the subject parcel. After the conclusion of a public hearing, the Board of Commissioners shall decide the conventional rezoning application in accordance with the sections and standards in Section 237H review criteria. The decision shall be one of the following: approval of the application, denial of the application, approval of a revised application, or remand of the application to county staff for further consideration. The decision shall be based on the legislative discretion of the Board of Commissioners, taking into consideration recommendation of the Planning Board and the standards in Section 237H review criteria. In making its decisions, the Board of Commissioners shall adopt a written statement of reasonableness and consistency with the county's adopted policy guidance in accordance with Section 160D 605 of the North Carolina General Statutes.
At this time, I'd like to call for public comments during this public hearing. Is there anybody here to speak? Is there anybody here to speak? Hearing none, I'd like to adjourn the public hearing, and the consideration is for approval of this request. Is there a motion?
I would make a motion for approval of this approval. Second.
Second. Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Scheduled appointments, Mr. Evans.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. First scheduled appointment, we have Ms. Tanya Heath, our Corporate Extension Director, who is here tonight to recognize some of our 4-H youth for their participation, and some of them have won some recent state competitions.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
I am honored to introduce some of our, what I call local celebrities. So these are our youth from Edgecombe County. And it's fitting that we're recognizing them tonight because this is the start of our National 4-H Week. So thank you for your time and effort and letting them come and join in this celebration. These 4-Hers have worked very hard in their project area. They have competed not only on the county level, but district and state. And then in the next month or so, we've got some going on to national competitions. So we've had a wonderful summer of activities. I hope you'll agree we do have some awesome young people that are here with us tonight. And along with that, we have a lot of family support, and that's the reason we have such a successful program. I'd first like to introduce some of our presentation participants. I'd like to call on Abby Bradley, if you'll come forward. And if we can do a group picture, can we have them come
Yes,
up and
ma'am.
we'll get a group at the end? Abby Bradley participated this year in our pork char grill competition. She won not only district gold, but also state. So we have some good grillers here. We now have Thomas Bradley. Thomas Bradley also participated in the turkey char grill competition, winning both district gold and state gold for his grilling presentation, and this will allow him to go to Louisville, Kentucky next month to compete. Yes, we will be doing a practice November the 2nd, so I'll invite y'all to that. So he'll be practicing again. Next we have Emma Britt. I think she's on this side. Miss Emma also participated in our small and companion animals category. She won district gold and state silver. Next, we have Savannah Dale. So Savannah presented at our district activity day as well as state presentation. She won district silver in the open category, and she talked a lot about North Carolina facts and government, so that was great. Next, we have McCrae Kaiser. McCrae presented at the district and state competition in his forestry presentation, and he won district gold and state silver. Next, we have Peyton Kaiser. He also participated in the chicken char grill competition. He won both gold in district and state, and he will next month go on to the national competition in Louisville, Kentucky. Next, we have Seth Peel. He participated in the careers and entrepreneurship category, and he won both district gold and state bronze. Next, we have Jada Smith. Jada participated in the communication and expressive arts category. She won district gold and state silver for her presentation. Next, we have Jolena Sunbaum. She participated in the livestock production presentation, winning district gold and a state silver. Next, we have Logan Sunbaum. She participated in the seafood grilling presentation category. She won both district gold and state silver. Next, we have Faith Womble. Faith participated again in our livestock production presentation category. She won a district silver and also participated in our state competition. And last but not least, for our presentations, we have Levi Womble. He participated again in the livestock production presentation category. And I always have to tell this little story. It might embarrass him. But the first time he was going up to give his presentation, and the judges said, "Are you ready?" He said, "I was born ready." So he did really good, district gold and state gold for that.
He got confidence.
Yes. So we also would like to recognize, and if y'all will stay up there, because there's a few more that we want to recognize. Our citizenship program, we have Jolene Knight, and as well as Jolena Sunbaum, if you'll raise your hand. Both of these girls represented Edgecombe County at a 4-H citizenship focus event this summer. In addition to that, they also competed in a very intensive application, resume, interview, essay competition statewide, and they won and will be going to National 4-H Congress in November in Atlanta. So kudos to them. The other thing that we would like to recognize are 4-H project record book winners and portfolio. And it's a lot of record keeping along with 4-H. So we have McCrae Kaiser, Peyton Kaiser, if you will, just raise your hand, Abby Bradley, and Thomas Bradley. A lot of those got district gold and state silver in in 1 or 2 categories statewide. So good job with that. And for the 4-H portfolio, this is a 3-year project. We have Peyton Kaiser was recognized at 4-H Congress this summer. He won district and state gold for his forestry and natural resources portfolio. So great job. With that, a lot of their work also goes into their scholarship. So a lot of the record keeping that they're doing helps on scholarship applications as well as college. And we'd like to recognize Peyton Kaiser, who received a $1,000 scholarship for the Edgecombe County 4-H livestock.
All right.
As well as, yeah, that's good.
Good job.
And Jolena Sunbaum was recognized. She received a Rachel Thomas and Dr. Thomas 4-H Foods and Nutrition for $2,500 in addition to a showmanship circuit of an additional $500. So good job to her. The one thing about these two that I'll say, both Peyton and Jolena, they were honored this summer at 4-H Congress, and they were inducted into the North Carolina 4-H Honor Club. That is the highest honor any 4-H'er can receive in North Carolina.
All right.
So good job to that.
Edgecombe County.
And I'll leave you with this. We're all trying to build youth and their capacities and life skills into leaders, and you see the leaders here. But I would like to highlight Logan Sunbaum. She is one of our officers for the Northeast District. So good job, Logan. They are learning how to campaign and talk to people about voting, so they have learned a lot about that. So Logan is our district officer. And Jolena Sunbaum, she's wearing the infamous green jacket. She is representing the state 4-H. She is our president this year, comes from Edgecombe County.
Okay.
All right.
And I'm not sure about our history, but I would say this one was probably our last Edgecombe vice president for the state. So we've got another one right here. And just thank you all to not only the 4-H'ers that are here, but the parents and the volunteers to make this program happen. And thank you for your time and effort tonight.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Wait before you go, say bless you.
Well, let's give all of them an applause, please, come on. And I think on behalf of the board, I'd like to say, we'd like to just thank our extension service. Sometimes these are the good things that are going on in our county that sometimes the public does not see until such time as we make them aware. Thank you so much for that, and we see you as the future young people that will be sitting here
That's right.
and making policy decisions for the rest of the county. Because some of us old enough to go. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So if right in the middle, if y'all could part the seat there a little bit, so we won't get that emblem on your face, that'd be nice. And
Yeah, you good. You good.
Can you get everybody?
Everybody look this way and smile.
Boy, I feel him poor. Yes.
Any comments from the board? Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
What school? All y'all the same school?
No, we're separate schools.
Different schools.
So
I'm in
one
North.
high school,
Yeah.
elementary, middle school, college.
Okay. Good job.
Any of y'all want to say anything? Anybody? No, thank
I'd
you.
just like to say, I'm very proud. I have a cousin, Jada, who's here, good friend, Jalea, who I'm trying to mentor and make sure she gets way ahead at college. She is a great student at early college, and at Tarver High, we're just excited that all of you. And I remember going to 4-H, but we didn't have quite as much fun as y'all have today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. It's the first time, I tell you, it's the first time
See how alumni
I meet you.
so they can go Amazon.
Yeah, we were down the other room, just things were pretty thick.
I'm glad our meeting was early, then I got a point. Okay, it cleaned out a lot of it.
Oh, yeah, you can lay down, take a nap.
They got to come home and do homework.
Yeah. Okay, good. Mark, got to see.
Right.
Do we have any people in the other room? What's that? Anybody at
We have
260? Anybody at 260?
Yes, sir, a few people.
Anybody at 260?
I tell them they
There's
come
enough
over.
space in here for them? Moving on, Mr. Evans.
The next scheduled appointment tonight is regarding, as you know, at your last meeting, your last regular meeting, we had a number of citizens to come with some concerns and complaints about our non-emergency medical transportation. And, certainly those, their concerns for them, certainly concerns for us. And so we want to provide some follow-up to that tonight if we could. And if you want, okay, I think I have everybody here. And so just to sort of lay the foundation, and then Ms. Betty Battle, our DSS director, is going to come with some information. And we also have with us tonight Mr. Todd Gardner, the director of Tar River Transit, is going to come and talk as well. But as you know, we have Medicaid provides transportation for medical-related needs. And it's a service that we provide through outside contractor. Tar River Transit, which is the regional transportation provider for us as well as many other entities, is the primary provider of that service for us. We also have a secondary contract. We have had a secondary contract to supplement that service. Our procurement policy and procedures requires that at times that we go out to seek other proposals. We did that here relatively recently. Based on a rating system, we went with a new contractor. And Ms. Battle is going to talk a little bit about that process. Admittedly, that transition from one contractor to another inevitably can be a little bumpy in the transition. And we've seen that in this case as well. And so our goal has been to, as best as we can, for our staff to work with both Tar River Transit and our new secondary provider, and the name of that company is Flovi, to smooth out that transition as best as we can. Ultimately, the goal is to make these options available to our citizens who are eligible to get this service. The options for someone who's on Medicaid, if they need assistance with transportation, through us, Edgecombe County right now is Tar River Transit, the new company which is called FlowVi. A third option is a person can get a family member or friend or other relative to take them on to their appointment, and they can get reimbursed for the mileage based on the IRS mileage rate. So really there are three options for that service. And so I just wanted to lay the foundation in response to concerns that were brought forth last month. And I want to call forward first Ms. Betty Battle, who's our DSS director, and she's going to give an overview of the process that our team went through in selecting a new provider, as well as other information she may want to share.
Good evening. So, Eric had asked me to come before the board this evening to discuss our bid process when we bid it out the non-emergency Medicaid transportation. And so I was just going to walk you all from the beginning of that process to the end. So on May the 30th is when we put the RFP in the newspapers. It was in the Rocky Mount Telegram and the Daily Reflector on May the 30th. The ads ran on June the 3rd, the 6th, and the 7th and 8th of June. The cutoff date for the RFPs were June the 16th. And on May 31st, the RFP was posted on the Edgecombe County website with the same cutoff date, June 16, 2023. The first 2 weeks of June, we received RFPs from 5 providers. On June the 20th is when I received notification from the staff person that was receiving the RFPs. We had in the newspaper to turn them in to this individual, and they did. And so I got an email from her on the 26th saying, hey, they're all in. When can we meet? And we met on June the 26th, and we did the bid opening. Well, we had 2 staff people present at the bid opening. One opened the bids, and one recorded the meeting. We also reviewed on that day the county's evaluation criteria form, which is what we use to rate, or what they use to rate the providers based on the information that was submitted. Everything was submitted that was requested, the timeliness of the documents, and just what their scope of duties were. So we met on June the 29th to go over the ratings, and they were awarded points for qualifications, experience, cost, and understanding and approach. And when we looked at the understanding and approach, we looked at, when we posted the RFPs on the website, we also posted that these are the attachments that you need to submit along with your proposal, and this is where you go to download those attachments. So for understanding and approach, some of them lost a lot of points because they didn't submit those documents. The attachments, the required attachments were also listed in the newspapers, and then, like I said, it was listed on the county website as well. On July 24th, Ms. McNeil visited the agency to sign a short-term contract with us that ran from July the 1st, 2023 through August the 30th, 2023, due to the incomplete status of the fiscal year 23-24 contract. So she agreed to continue to serve from July 1 to August 30th. And she signed the contract. She met with 2 staff people to do that. And then on August the 28th, we sent out letters to the bidders notifying them that the contract was awarded to another provider. And on September the 1st, a contract was awarded to FlowVi. And then on September the 12th, we sent letters out to all of the riders, letting them know that the contract had switched from Fountain Transportation to FlowVi. So that's pretty much our process. It's the process we've always used for bid proposals. We try to keep it as clean as possible. We have one person that opened the bids, we have another person that recorded the bid, the findings of the bids, and then we come back and we met after they did the evaluations. I was not a part of that process. Those two people went out in different offices, did the evaluation. We met a couple of days later. They explained to me how they came up with their ratings, and we made the selection based on that. Any questions?
Let me go down with this. Okay, and I've talked with Ms. Battle and expressed my concern that the residents were not told about the change until after the change had happened. So it's like we did things backwards. Instead of alerting them that this was coming up, I felt like we should have already sent them letters. And it's saying now that, they ended up going back, sending the letters, but the process had already changed. But I also wanted to know, I saw you said there was a short-term contract. So when the former firm accepted that short-term, was it discussed with them that this is only short-term?
According to an email that I received from the person that met with her, her email says that she met with Ms. McNeil and explained to her that the contract was from July the 1st to August the 30th, and of course it's stated in the contract in several different places as well.
Now, in your letter to the former carrier, did you explain if there were any items why they did not get the contract?
No. We just simply stated that the contract was awarded to another provider. And that was like a standard form letter, that the same letter went out to all the providers.
Okay. So did the bid go to the lowest bidder?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay. Is there any way for you to tell me approximately how much DSS, the difference between the previous carrier and the one that has the contract now?
What do you mean in terms of?
Is DSS saving any money with
Well-
the new contract?
Well, DSS doesn't have to pay any money. This contract is strictly state and federal dollars. County money is not in this contract at all. So they are reimbursed through the NC track system. There are no county dollars in this contract. However, although cost is not the sole criteria, it is one that the state stresses that we look at very strongly. But in this situation, the ones that we looked at, it wasn't just cost. We looked at things like, the website said, turn in all of these attachments. Go to www.whatever and download them and turn them in. We looked at things like that. They didn't turn them in, then they lost points.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When you sent the letter, I think it should have been a little bit more detailed instead of just saying you didn't get the contract. I would like to know why I didn't get the contract. If I've had the contract for 2 or 3 years, what suddenly had changed that I didn't get it, this time?
What changed is that we bidded it out, which, when I talked to the county manager about it, he told me that based on some of the findings in our audit, it was recommended that we start bidding out I think it was the procurement
Our
process.
procurement policies.
And so, based on that, we started bidding out the contract. And so, the contract was lost because it was bidded out, and another provider got it.
And how long does this contract last?
1 year.
So you're going year to year now?
Well,
It was year to year before.
It was? Okay.
and we can make the decision. The contract gives us the opportunity to extend it to another year if we want. We'll make that decision. We have to wait to see how it goes with the contractor, the need. All of those factors have to come into play when making that decision.
Last one. Can you tell me approximately how many of our citizens rely on this transportation?
380. And that's total. And that's with Tar River and the secondary provider as well.
But do you know with the secondary, how many it is?
Yeah, we got it was like 2-something for, 280-something for Fountain, and 100 and something for Tar River.
Thank you.
And that can ebb and flow over a period of time. It's customer choice. So at any time, the customer can say, I prefer to ride with Tar River Transit instead of, or vice versa. So that can ebb and flow over the
Or
course
a,
of
re-
the
or a relative.
Or a relative, right. We have very few that do that, but they could. So it's client choice, which provider, or whether or not they go with a family member or a friend. Private transport is what they call that.
So, can I say? So basically, what I think I'm hearing you say is that the entire process is based on that, information that was or was not shared. They did not, the other people did not make the cut. Basically.
It actually ended up being a tie between Flovi and another company. But we kept calling the other company, or I kept calling the other company, and I did not get a response. So I moved ahead with Flovi. I didn't want to keep waiting because we were already beyond July.
But your
30th.
procedure was followed.
Yes. So it was actually a tie.
Any other questions from the board?
I'm sorry, I thought it
Go
was the
ahead.
last one.
Go ahead.
I'd never heard of Flovi. So did you compare, within their application, do they have to supply you with like who they've served before, or, you know, is it their first time in Edgecombe County? Because I'd never heard of it.
Okay, so yeah, it's pretty much like Fountain. We never heard of them when we contracted with them back in 2020. So we had to go, so they had to, I'd never heard of them, let me put it like that.
Please, come on.
Okay, so when we contracted with them, this is the first time that they provided transportation services for Edgecombe County. And so with Flovi, yes, we did. We went online and we found out that they provided transportation. They also did, and he can tell you better than I can what his business do, but I think they deliver medical supplies to hospitals. And so we did go on his website and we did look at them.
Okay.
And the information that they have to submit, the proposal, all of that information is included in the proposal as well.
Any other questions from any of the board?
So
Go ahead.
it's awarded on a point system.
Yes,
And
pretty much.
everybody's made clearly aware of what they're supposed to fill out and how they receive points or don't receive points. And they're told that all of the additional documents need to be submitted in order to get points.
That is correct. It was listed on the Edgecombe County website, and I have a copy of that, and I also have a copy of the proof of the ad that ran in the Rocky Mount Telegram, the Tar River, and the Daily Reflector in Greenville. And it tells you, this is what, this is where you need to go to get these attachments.
So any specific company could lose points by not filling out all of the information is basically what it boils
Yes,
down to.
absolutely.
And did everybody meet the June 16th deadline?
Yes.
And just to add, the request for proposal document describes the rating criteria that's used, the number of points.
So they're told exactly what you get points for and what you don't get points for.
No.
Anybody else? Any other board member?
I'd like to ask the other gentleman the next question.
Don't go anywhere, Mr. Bell. No, you go. I'm telling you, sit down. We might have additional questions. No, the next one for is Mr. Gardner.
Yes, sir. Mr. Ty Gardner with Tar River Transit is here tonight as well.
Good evening.
Good
Good evening.
As mentioned, my name is Todd Gardner. I am the director of Tar River Transit. I work specifically for the city of Rocky Mount. I've been in this position now for going on about 18 years. First of all, I'd like to thank Eric Evans for allowing me to come down and address the board. I realize this is a sensitive issue during this time, so thank you, Mr. Evans, for allowing me to come and speak on behalf of Tar River Transit. The main reason why I'm here is to address the concerns that were displayed by the citizens here in Edgecombe County relative to transportation, specifically the Tar River Transit. And I really want to correct any misconceptions about the service that we provide here in Edgecombe County. To begin with, I just wanted to give you a kind of a background of what we do. Tar River Transit is considered a community transportation provider. What that means is that we are a public transportation provider for the county of Edgecombe as well as Nash County. Most counties, and I dare to say every county in North Carolina, has a community transportation provider designated for that specific county. Being a community transportation provider, what that means is that we are sanctioned and supported by the North Carolina Department of Transportation, NCDOT, which is stationed in Raleigh. Part of my job as administrator and director is that I apply for funds, state funds, and sometimes federal funds on behalf of Edgecombe County, and those funds go towards expenses that are associated with providing transportation here in the area. And those funds are called Rural Operating Assistance Program funds, and I apply for those funds annually on behalf of Edgecombe County.
Mr. Gardner, I'm going to pause you for 1 second. I'm going to ask IT if they could turn his microphone up just a little bit.
Okay, I kind of speak kind of in that mic for us so we.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
You can hold it.
That's all right. We good?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, sorry about that. And to give you a little bit of history, Tar River Trans has been in existence since 2002 as the authority of Tar River Transit. We have been providing transportation before that, but we have been known as Tar River Transit as that authority since 2002. That authority is governed by what is called an interlocal agreement, and that interlocal agreement is between the City of Rocky Mount, Edgecombe County, and Nash County. Per that interlocal agreement, we have a transportation governing board, which is made up of a Nash County Commissioner, a Rocky Mount City Council member, and an Edgecombe County Commissioner, which Reverend Wayne Hines has served on the board, at least since I've been in the position, and probably before that. And so, basically, that is the history of Tar River Trans and why we are considered the community transportation provider, because we are the public transportation provider, which is supported by the North Carolina Department of Transportation, as opposed to fountain transportation or flow-by transportation. They're considered private transportation providers. And like I mentioned, the main reason I'm here this evening is because of some issues that came up in the last meeting here last month. I received a phone call to view the video of the last meeting, and to my dismay, I heard some pretty disparaging comments about Tar River Transit that I would like to personally address. We were, well, let me explain the process of Medicaid transportation, which has been brought up in numerous meetings. Medicaid transportation is for citizens of Edgecombe County that are Medicaid recipients, and it provides transportation to and from doctor's appointments, which Tar River Trans has been doing for quite some time now. As far as the process for which that, all right, thank you. As far as the process goes, any Medicaid recipient who has a doctor's appointment, Medicaid alerts social services, and then social services alerts Tar River Transit through a referral, and then we in turn put them on the schedule. Because we transport, on average, we transport anywhere between 400 to 500 passengers per day between Nash and Edgecombe County. We have requested that those referrals get to us by at least 2 o'clock on the previous day, so that will allow us time to get those passengers on the schedule. A couple of years ago, we were alerted by social services, Edgecombe County Social Services, that they had passengers that were receiving referrals from passengers after 2 o'clock, which was what they referred to as an overflow. So they thought it would be best to contract with an additional transportation provider to adhere to that overflow, which, we at Tar River Transit, we didn't have a problem with that at all. Now, how that process was procured, how that contract was procured, and how that contract was subsequently expired for Fountain is not the concern of Tar River Transit. That's not our business. But for some reason, during the last meeting, Tar River Transit was thrown into the fray of the argument, in my opinion, unfairly. I heard accusations of we treat passengers like trash. We did not address the issue of a damaged wheelchair. We do not allow passengers with weight issues to utilize wheelchair ramps. We pick up passengers when we feel like it, and we ask passengers to be ready at 3 a.m. for 6 a.m. appointments. For that note, I just like to say that anytime, the only time that we require that anything close to that is that we go to Greenville once a week, and we also go to the Raleigh-Durham area once a week, and we do those trips. We pick up everyone in the county as well as Nash County, and we pick them all up at the same time, and we provide that transportation and bring everybody back at the same time. And some of those appointments are early, so we do require for those out-of-town trips for the passengers to be ready, maybe 2 or 3 hours before their appointment. But otherwise, that is for local transportation, that is not a requirement of Tar River Transit. So one of the things I did not mention was that the City of Rocky Mount, we contract with a transportation management firm, TransDev, and they handle all of the daily operations of Tar River Transit. Myself and my assistant, Quenisha Corwise, we are Rocky Mount City employees, but the drivers, the dispatchers, they all work for this management company's TransDev. Also on staff for TransDev is a general manager, Ron Cooper. And Ron Cooper has been in that position for like 10 years now. And all that Mr. Cooper preaches is safety and customer service. Now, I'm not about to stand here and say that Tar River Transit is perfect. There are times, because of the many people that we do transport, we may fall short of providing safe and reliable transportation. Anytime that we do fall short, those issues are immediately addressed by our staff. But at the same time, by and large, Tar River Transit providing safe and reliable transportation is what we do and what we have been doing for the past, at least since I've been there 20 years. So to hear these remarks was kind of took me aback a little bit, because I kind of took that personally, because that is not the type of organization that I am the head of. We've been providing transportation for Edgecombe County for years now, reliable transportation for years now, and I stand by that emphatically. And I also now, while the citizens here of Edgecombe County, they have their right to their opinion, and they have their right to voice their opinion, and I respect their opinion, but I'm just here to categorically deny the fact that we treat our passengers harshly, or that we fall short by and large of providing safe and reliable transportation. So, as I mentioned, I'd like to thank you, the board, for allowing me to address these issues this evening, and I'm open to any questions.
Any questions from the board?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
What'd you say the name of that company was?
The management company that we use is TransDev. It used to be First Transit, but they were bought out by TransDev recently.
Okay. So I was going to ask you if Rocky Mount Transit had received any complaints from any of these citizens, especially the ones who came to us the last time. But since you said you have another company that actually handles that, do you know whether they've actually received complaints?
We have received complaints. If you're speaking specifically for these issues, once I saw the video of the last meeting, I had a meeting myself with Mr. Cooper and his staff, and he alerted me that for the specific allegations that were levied against Tar River Transit during the last meeting, that him and his staff did not receive any complaints to those facts.
Any other question from the board?
So do you have a procedure for complaints? Does the other company receive them, or do you receive a copy, or do you get a copy of the other company?
Well, let me just clarify, you know, when you speak of the other company, in essence, as I mentioned, Tar River Transit is the authority. But, you know, we contract with this management company, but everything is still considered under the umbrella of Tar River Transit, for which I'm responsible, and I take full responsibility. The staff is right there in the same office as I am, and so any complaints, they do go directly to Mr. Cooper, with which he addresses those complaints, and then when I meet with him weekly, he alerts me of those complaints and also alerts me of the progress of how those complaints are being addressed and hopefully solved.
So complaints do go directly to you, or Tar River Transit,
To Tar River Transit, yes, sir.
and they are investigated? And are the people notified in any type of form, a letter or a call?
Anytime that there is a complaint, what we do, it is our policy to do what we call a follow-up, and that is with a phone call. And so any complaint that is levied against Tar River Transit, it is investigated. And then once some closure has come to it, we do follow up with the passenger as to the status of that complaint.
And did I understand you to say you had no complaints
No.
from the last meeting?
The complaints that were levied against Tar River Transit during the last meeting, we had not received any complaints to that nature.
Well, I'll just make a comment from the way you've stated it. In terms of the management company, that's just a contract between Tar River Transit and the management company. So any complaint coming in would be against, as far as the public is concerned, would be against Tar River Transit.
Right.
Because we didn't know that there was a management company.
Right.
You understand? So our contract is with Tar River Transit, and that's what we expect to resolve the issues.
Right, but the management company is considered Tar River Transit, so
Okay,
in
well-
essence, that any complaints levied against Tar River Transit is handled by that management company.
I'm just saying, from a public standpoint, we don't know nothing but Tar River Transit.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is there any reason why you don't get the complaints too?
What, directly?
Yeah.
The main,
Even though the company may be responsible, but your knowledge of what they are responsible for.
oh, I have knowledge, because I have weekly meetings with the management company that handles the complaints, so I am alerted of those complaints. And as I mentioned, I'm right there in the office as well, so I'm alerted of all complaints, either right when it happens or at least within a couple of days.
Well,
And I've addressed some of those complaints myself.
I think the board's concern would be if there are complaints, is that, they are investigated, and that the complainants understand the results of the complaint. I think that's what we're concerned about. The allegations here, we don't know whether they're true or false.
Right.
They're public allegations that were made here, and we contacted Tar River Company because you are our contractor.
Yes, sir.
And so, and that resolution is between Tar River Transit and the complainants.
Exactly.
Right. Any other comments or questions from the board?
I just have one clarifying for Ms. Battle. Could you clarify complaints that you received as well? Have you received those same complaints, or?
Well, we receive complaints against blow-by,
Okay.
and we investigated them. Every complaint we get, when it comes our way, we call them on the phone. We've got 5 people, I think, in transportation. We send the emails, they call these people, and make sure that their appointment is set up correctly. They're given a choice. They don't have to ride. It's up to them who they ride with. We offer this service. It's up to them. If they say, I don't want to ride with Tar River, and I don't want to ride with Flow-By, we don't have any other providers. So they will call the people and make sure that the appointment is straight. If we get a complaint that, hey, so-and-so didn't come pick me up this morning, And then we may learn that, they were scheduled for the ride and maybe, the worker did not call them back to let them know, hey, you're scheduled with Tar River tomorrow, you're no longer riding with Fountain. And, be ready in the morning at 7 or 8 or 9, whatever the case may be. But to answer your question, Mr. Thorne, yes, we are investigating complaints like all day, every day. And we make sure to follow up on them all.
And sometimes it might not be a complaint as much as it is making sure that,
That's exactly right. I've had, and I have to say that, thank you for pointing that out, Mr. Williams. You're so right, because I've had many of riders to say, I don't care who I ride with, I don't care who you send, but I got dialysis tomorrow and I need to get there. And so we'll set them up with, whoever is available. So no, not all of them are complaints. Actually, to be perfectly honest, the complaints I see, it's mostly the transition. People understanding that we no longer contract with Fountain. We are now contracted with Flovi, and so these are the two companies that you have available to provide service. I think it's just a transition. And, I remind everyone that Flovi just got the contract September the 1st. So it's the end of September. Every company has startup problems. And so I think the transition is going to eventually smooth itself out. We've been doing weekly field visits. I would like to ask Mr. Williams to speak on that for you all, so you can have some level of comfort about that. And then his staff has been conducting weekly field visits to Flovi, just to make sure that everything is in order, but,
Flovi is not on this agenda, okay?
No, she's talking about her employee.
You talking about, go ahead, go ahead.
oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I was talking about Mr. Williams.
Go ahead. Okay, that's your call. That's your call.
But, to answer your question, Mr. Thorne, yes, we all are investigating complaints. Everybody's getting.
Oh, excuse me just a minute. You got it.
Yeah, I just heard you make a statement that every startup company has problems. They're not ready to serve, then why are they serving?
Not, I didn't say they weren't ready to serve. I'm saying the transition.
But if they got problems, they're not ready.
Well, let me rephrase that. It's the transition. Mr. Williams is going to speak about the field visit, and that will show that there are no problems with transportation.
Okay,
So
thank
I will
you.
rephrase that and say that every company, every new company has a transition period.
But I'm still asking you, why would they have a transitional period of not fulfilling the contract when the startup time is September 1, and they still got issues they got to resolve?
Because the transition is accommodating the change in the providers.
Right.
Getting people to understand that Fountain is no longer providing the transportation service. You now have a new provider and transitioning those folks over to the new provider.
One other thing, does your new company have the same amount of vehicles available as the one that you had?
I'll let Mr. Williams, and, you want to speak on that?
Thank you. We'll call on you if you can answer. Okay, thank you.
Good evening. When I did my site visit with
Give your name and title.
I'm sorry. Jonah Williams, Adult Services Supervisor for Edgecombe County DSS. Like Ms. Battle stated, I have done several site visits to Flovi. The first visit I went on, it had about 7 to 8 vehicles consisting of vans, buses, cars. I checked the car, checked all the vehicles with some of the concerns we heard about. All the cars, I didn't smell anything. They was clean, and they was doing a cookout too to raise funds to add T-shirts to the company, decals to the cars, which they have at this point. Mr. Bourne here, he's been open to answer all questions, and he's doing the best they can since they've been in business with us. So with my site visits, I haven't had any concerns. And we also appointed one of our workers, my transportation workers, to go continue to do site visits as he continues to serve our county.
I'm still listening to probably a reason why there's discrepancy in providing the service. You just said that they were doing the best they could, but is their best accommodating their need?
Yeah. They've been serving the needs pretty well to me. They, you know, like it's been some hiccups, but like Ms. Bowder said, when they off, we call them, we right on the phone with them. If they miss someone, they'll go back and get them. So you know, it's been pretty good, but it hasn't been perfect. But it's been pretty good. He's doing the best. You know, why I say that, I mean he's doing all he needed to do for us.
That's kind of a better way to say it.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
in terms of,
Yes, sir.
but I think the question to you and Ms. Bell is, at this time, you're satisfied with the contractor?
Yes, sir.
I think it's our goal is to serve the citizens of the.
He's satisfying the requirements of the contract. You're satisfied with that? You're satisfied with that? Okay.
And they will be monitored throughout the life of their contract. If at some point it becomes evident that they're not able to live up to the terms of the contract, the staff will let Ms. Battle know, Ms. Battle will let me know, and then we'll decide if we need to make some transition. So far, I believe we've smoothed out some of the bumps we've seen in that transition. We certainly, to your point, Commissioner Harris, certainly next time we'll make sure that we send those letters out more timely. But I think things are progressing better than what we've seen. It won't be perfect, it won't ever be perfect, but I think they have progressed and improved a great deal.
Is there anything else to come during scheduled appointments?
No, sir.
And you all just hang around because we're going to have public petitions, and we don't know what's coming up in public petitions. At this time, if not, we're through with scheduled appointments.
Yes, sir.
At this time, we have public petitions, and we'd like to open up the public petitions for anybody. Please come forward and state your name and address for the public record. Ladies and gentlemen, at public petition, we normally have 3 minutes, and we're going to hold you to those 3 minutes. The clerk will let me know when your 3 minutes is up, and please hold your comments to 3 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, if I could say, you have 3 people that notified us in advance of the meeting that they like be scheduled to speak tonight. Would you like to start with them, sir?
Well, we already got one up here, so is that one of them?
Yeah, she's one of them.
Okay. Please state your name and address. Okay.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Angela Bryant. I live at 717 West End Street, Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And I am here to speak to you on the issue of school demerger or merger, as it would be. I'm one of the community leaders who's been working on the school demerger issue and merger issue for the last year, and an urgent issue has come to our attention, and we want to make sure it comes to your attention. And that this is a matter involving the redistricting of the Edgecombe County School Board as a result of the school merger. A problem has arisen in that in the legislation that most recently set the date for the merger to happen and other parameters, and including the authority for the Edgecombe School Board to redistrict, there was an oversight in that they didn't realize that the Edgecombe County School Board election occurs in March. The merger will occur in July. So the people who are merged in July cannot vote in an election in March. So therefore, they would have no way to participate in 2024 elections for representation. A second problem is that even if we move the election to November, and you still have the same set of districts that you have now, the only districts up for election in 2024 are in East Tarboro and Macclesfield. That would be Worsley, Privet, and Ellis. So therefore, the citizens in Rocky Mount wouldn't be able to vote for any representation of the people in Rocky Mount anyway. So there are kind of 2 oversights to this problem. And so legislative action is needed in order to provide representation for the citizens of Edgecombe County that will be merged into the Edgecombe County School District in 2024. Both to move the election, first and foremost, to November at least, And secondly, to require a plan that would allow all the districts to be elected in 2024 so that the citizens of Rocky Mount would have a choice on who would represent them in 2024. And it can be done similar to what was done in Nash County, in which the people who have terms expiring in 2026 could be in essence held harmless. That is, they would not lose their terms regardless of what the redistricting plan might be. And it could still be done with the Edgecombe County School Board having the authority to draw their own districts. And so we're asking that you look at that. There are 10,000 residents in Edgecombe Rocky Mount that will be merged into the Edgecombe County School Board district. 20% of the new district will be Rocky Mount, and we think it's important, and those districts will need to increase. So we think that is important, and we ask that you take action for this to happen with the legislature and for the school board to have the authority to do what they need to do. Thank you.
Please stay right there because I have, please stay right there because there was a community meeting on Friday in which I attended, and it was, and while do you think that, I think you gave what you thought was a solution in terms of changing the voting date to what?
I'm suggesting November. I mean, you know, only because I know about elections and election boards and counties don't like additional elections they have to pay for. So the logical thing would be November. But
Our state legislators were there, Mr. Willingham and Senator Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, and I'm taking this opportunity to inform the board of what I did. And I did request that they look at it and possibly seek legislation that would take some corrective action, but not take the authority from the school board to draw their lines. I still want the school board to have the authority to draw their line, but whatever the legislators can do to correct what was missed in that last legislation. So I wanted to bring that to the board in terms of, that was one of the things I had thought I was going to bring to the board later anyway, but it's an opportunity to speak to it now in terms of how the board feels about it, because I know that our local legislators does not want to do anything legislative unless the board has talked about it. Would I be correct, Representative Williams?
And I just want to emphasize that they need not only the authority to redistrict, but they need the authority to change the districting plan so that all the seats would be open.
And that's still the authority of the school board?
Yes,
okay.
they need the authority to do that, is all I'm saying.
And I'm saying that based on what you've heard in terms of what the legislators, what our local legislators can come up with, and conversations with our school board, is that something that this board could support?
Most definitely.
I'd like to make that recommendation.
Okay, well, if we need action on that, Representative William, please let us know. We'll take that up, okay? Okay. So I think that this board is, while we don't want to do anything that will take the authority from the school board, we do, Reverend Hines and I, we certainly want the people of Rocky Mount represented in whatever happens, okay? Okay. Because right now it would be an unrepresented district in terms of what action would be taken. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if we need action, the board will take that action.
Good evening, Criminal Stance, 127 Midway Lane, Tarboro, P.O. Box 1391, Pine Tops. We are asking you take whatever action you can to influence the Edgecombe County Board of Education, because until the merged Rocky Mount residents can vote, they have no representation on the Edgecombe School Board that will decide their rights and their fate. The only representatives they have elected that can help them are on this board. Their county commissioners, the Rocky Mount City Council, the Nash County School Board, and their state legislators. Please take action now to make sure they can vote for school board representation in 2024 after they get annexed. There has to be legislative action in the next few weeks to move the election and require the school board to redistrict with a plan that allows Rocky Mount to elect representation in 2024. You are one of the only elected voices that these citizens in Rocky Mount have. We need the school board to demonstrate the same transparency and concern for the Rocky Mount Edgecombe residents that have the right to vote for their new school board as they have shown for the assignment of students to the newly merged school facilities in the district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, County Commissioners and staff. My name is Nathlyn O'Reed. I live at 1713 Beverly Road in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, in the Edgecombe side of the Nash County school system, which has decided that they would no longer be embracing us, and they are releasing us into your loving care. Well, we're already in Edgecombe County, but at the school board, they're relieving us of their responsibility for our children. Therefore, we are raising the alarm, because we do not want this policy to come into effect without voting opportunity for the citizens in the Edgecombe County area. A lot has gone on, and a lot of people have been asleep at the wheel, and they're waking up after the fact going, what happened? And we don't want that to happen again. So we appreciate your attention and anything that you can do to help us in this process to make sure that those Edgecombe, those 10,000 citizens who have a right to vote are considered in the future in a timely fashion, so that we will not be behind the wheel. Thank you for your attention. And I am a 4-H, former 4-H student, and I also had a 4-H club for over 10 years in the Edgecombe County. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I think this board has shown the willingness to address that along with our school board. I think the school board would certainly be willing to listen to our requests along with whatever legislation they might propose also. Anybody else to speak?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Kelvin Barnhill, owner and operator of Flowby Incorporated. Just want to introduce myself and to my company to let you guys know and everyone know that we are here to help support and help serve the individuals in Edgecombe and Nash County in transportation. We have been doing transportation for quite some time, doing services with mental health, a service called MTM. We provide services for transportation for those individuals as well. And we're just grateful to know that we are able to come here and support Edgecombe County in doing our transportation along with DSS. Working together as a team is very important in supporting our individuals that we're serving. As we alluded to earlier, yes, it may be a few transitional issues, but granted, those issues have been smoothed out, and we're moving forward. Just want to let you guys know that we are here to support the individuals every day, along with DSS, and doing what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anybody else here to speak?
From the lines, 201 Devonshire Pine Top, North Carolina, 27864. Yes, she said she didn't get that complaint about trans. I was the one that told y'all when I was riding trans van and my arm on my truck got damaged. And if my arm had been there, my arm would have got hurt. I called Indian and I told them what happened. And this what was told to me, as I told you before. She said, we don't have insurance to cover your chair. And then on the second time, this chair here got messed up. They messed up the cord. I called in for that. Once again, she told me they didn't have insurance. And she said she sent out notes for us. I've been at them shop for 12 years. I did not get no letter stating that we could no longer ride Fountain Transportation. I haven't gotten that letter. I have no reason to lie. I didn't get no letter. But when I called her, was talking to her about the rides, and I told her I would like to ride Fountain Transportation, this is what she told me. She said, if you ride Fountain Transportation, you will pay for it. And I hung the phone up, because I felt like I had the right and authority to ride, the van we like to ride. Why should we just throw us out and like we want to ride Fountain Transportation? Why is it a problem we can't ride Transportation? When Fountain Transportation come in, I start riding Fountain, rocking my trains, and I got on Fountain. And I've been satisfied. And I feel like as long as I'm satisfied, I should be able to keep riding that van. I got, by me not going to the doctor, right now, my blood pressure is 148/1. I shouldn't have to suffer because I can't get to the doctor and get my medicine. And like I said, when I ride in that van, I got scared that they was going home on a Friday afternoon. That lady on the van like to kill us all on that van. And I'm scared to get back on Fountain, on rocking my train van. And I shouldn't have to do that. I should be able to ride and be comfortable going back and forth to the doctor. Shouldn't nobody have to live like that. They sitting here saying they did this for us and they did this. No, they're lying. They did not do it. And I called him and made those 2 complaints, and she said I didn't, but I did. I really did. Thank you.
Who did you talk to, ma'am?
Sir, I can't tell you who I talked to. All I know when I called to rocking my train, I talked to the dispatch, and I told her about my children. And she said they didn't have insurance to cover my children.
Let me say this to all of us. When you talk to somebody, you need a name.
You're right. I learned that.
You need a name. You need to know who you are talking to. And if they can't give you a name, you need to call somebody on that person. There's a way to get what you need. All you need is a name. And if you don't get a name, you don't get nothing much less.
You're right. I learned.
And that's why I was asking you, who did you talk to?
Sir, I cannot tell you who I talked to. All I know, I called in twice, but I can't tell you who I talked to.
I wish you
The
had.
only thing they told me, they did not have insurance to cover the wheelchair.
And see, that's a dismissal statement to tell you that.
They told me that, so they did not have insurance to cover the wheelchair.
I wished I knew who it was.
It was Rocky Mountain Train, told me that on my phone.
But I don't have a name.
No, you don't.
And I'm saying again to you, whenever you talk to anybody, whoever you talk to, you need a name. And write that name down and identify that person. Because there are some things you just don't tell folks. And that was one of the things that they shouldn't have told you. They don't have insurance. What they doing operating with no insurance?
They told, that's what, I'm repeating what they told me on the phone.
Okay.
Then like I said.
I wished I had a name I could help you.
No, you do. I do too. I do too.
If you want to come and speak at public petitions, please do.
Mr. Gardner.
Mr. Gardner, you can come and speak. Okay.
Are you done?
You done?
Respectfully, I didn't want to speak again to refute the citizens' claims.
Well, this is not, we're not here to be in an adversarial role, okay?
All I want to do is explain our process when it
Well,
comes to
you've
something like
explained
that.
your process. We got your process a while ago.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir.
But you still need a name. Whenever you got a complaint and you make a call, you need to know who you are talking to. And that's so important.
Thanks for telling me. I know next time.
All right.
Is there anybody else here to speak? Please come forward.
My name is Anthony Davis. I live 625 East Holly Street, Rocky Mount, North Carolina. I'm here with a complaint about this new transportation system we got going on. It sucks. I was supposed to have surgery last week. Got called in a week ahead of time. They said, oh, somebody will be there. Oh, when? know what they called me again? At 11:30, the people at the hospital had done canceled the surgery, rescheduled me. I'm sitting there hurting, I'm still hurting. But they said, oh, we got ample transportation. We're gonna take you some. Yeah, you will take me to hell if you don't, come and take me to the doctor. And the other day, they sent out a van, broken windshield, dirty, stinking, the door, the front wasn't open, the guy was stinking, the van was stinking, and they said, Williams said he inspected the vehicles. You blind? This guy said he had just got hired that morning. They must have picked him off the dump somewhere, and his van also. And they talking about they providing adequate transportation. No, sir. The first time I rode with this company, the lady, they said, oh, well, I'm in front of your house. I said, I am too. She said, I'm in Tarboro. I said, damn, I live in Rocky Mount. She said, I'm sitting in front of your house, but she's in Tarboro. This company that we're dealing with, they got more than just some flaws they ironing out. They don't have the courtesy to call you, and they'll call you after your appointment is over. We got somebody coming to pick you up. A couple of weeks ago, went to Raleigh in their van. The driver stated that he had reported that one of the tires had a nail in it. And he noticed that morning, they told him to take the van anyway. We go to Raleigh, I go see the doctor. And on the way back, tire's flat. He's got to get out there, we're beside the road. He's changing the tire. Then the donut don't have any air in it. Go bloom to the nearest gas station. Come on. Who was the person that inspected their vehicles? Huh? They should have a system to where whoever hired this company had somebody to go and really check out their fleet of vehicles and check out the drivers. They have no safety precaution. They put me in a wheelchair in there. I'm sitting crossways in the chair. And I got bad legs. I need to stretch them out. You understand me? And if you can't be comfortable going to the doctor and you're scared to ride in these damn vehicles, hey, might as well just use one of them shovels you got. Get them one of them shovels you got right there to dig a grave for you. Because they're unsafe. They don't strap you in like you should be. And they said they're courteous. And for you, Mr. Williams, you and I spoke last week. Okay?
Please speak to the board. Speak to the board.
Speaking to the board.
Speak to the board, please.
I spoke to him last week about this transportation company. He said he said he don't see nothing wrong with it. He told me a different story. He's like most politicians. You know what they do?
We tell the truth, go ahead.
Yeah, most of you, yeah. Now you tell the truth. Politicians,
I'm not going to be in that
lawyers
room you
say.
talking about, okay? Go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, but you know what you do, though. Once you get in office, you fine.
Yes, sir.
You done told that thing before
Your
you
time's
got there.
expired.
Yeah, good.
We over time.
Hey, but like I say,
Okay, go ahead.
y'all need to investigate this company more. Because somebody get real serious hurt riding in some of the death traps they got. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Just as you have accused us of not telling the truth, again, when you talk to whoever you talk to,
Get a name.
Get a name.
I just tell you, a name.
and I hope that there's an investigation when the people, we've got to treat people right.
Yeah, well,
And
didn't I call a name? I said, Mr. Williams, right there.
and Mr. Williams said that things was okay.
Yeah.
You said they're not. Somebody needs to investigate
And him.
which one is telling the truth. And I say to you again, over and over again, need a name, and as these complaints come, somebody needs to address them. Somebody needs to address them. Things just don't happen.
Tamika Brown, 1029 Moore Street. I was the one that was up here talking for Found Transportation. Miss Betty Battle, she don't know what she talking about. That woman ain't telling the truth. Because I don't talk to her. She's smart-mouthed, because if you don't like what she wants you to say, she's going to give you smart-mouthed. Me being from New Jersey, I'm going to give it back to you, baby. I'm going to give it back to you hard. Because Rocky Mount Transit, they don't even need to be working. Number one, they say they pick you up according to your appointment. Y'all see that gentleman sitting right there in the blue? In the red and blue? I live with him. He gets up at 3 o'clock in the morning for a 15 appointment? Every day. And half of the time, he don't even know they out there. He wakes my 20-year-old son to go lay in the front room on the couch with the door open so he'll know they out there. They don't blow no horn and they don't call. The only time they call, we was outside, we gone. We're not coming back. And they don't come back. This other transportation, Flow Rider, I wouldn't say put in nothing, they ride in. My first pickup was in a woman's car, a black Camry, tinted windows, smelled like sex and weed. Now if they out in the field, he don't know what they doing when they out there in that field. He don't know when they park waiting on somebody what they're doing. If he ain't in that van with them. And the whole thing is, it's always, she said, point system. There ain't no point system. Money talk, shit walk. And that's what that is. Because she sit in her office, she ain't out here. She sit in her office pushing papers. She don't care, because at the end of the day, she getting where she got to get to. Working wherever. She making her money. We are in the hospital. We don't have to. I just spent from last Tuesday up until last Thursday in the hospital because I don't have normal transportation. Any 2 times you get dropped off at the doctor's office, I sit in the chair for 4.5 hours. For dialysis. And then when I get off, it's people at my dialysis office right now. The only reason they're not here to speak up is because they scared if they open their mouth, how they gonna get treated on Rocky Mount Transit. Them old folks don't like riding on Rocky Mount. They scared. The first thing they tell me is, Tamika, if we was like you, if we wasn't scared to speak out, we would. Why not? I am 42 years old and I ain't never been scared. I ain't scared about one person. That's Jesus. And it's not fair if they not out here. You sit out there at a doctor's office and you wait. Or you get this phone, you get this one. You call and ask where the van at. Oh, they had a wreck. So now you sitting there waiting until they get you another van. You don't know what time that's going to be. You don't know. Because you don't know who coming to get you. All they say is we're going to get you we're going to get you a van there. They ain't going to tell you no different. And then you call Rocky Mount Transit and Tammy up there at Rocky Mount Transit, she one of them folks that you just need to take out the building instead of outside. Because Because that's what she need to be on her way home. She don't need to be running nothing. These folks that just got up here and spoke, they don't know what we go through. They don't know. They're not sitting in these dialysis chairs. When we get out of those chairs, we ready to go home and eat. We can't eat in the morning because we on dialysis. We sit in the chair for 4 hours, and the impossibility in them 4 hours that we in that chair, our blood pressure drop real low, some of us sugar drop. Then we gotta get ourselves together, get up out those chairs to go get in a van that ain't out there. You gotta wait and sometimes when I was riding Rocky Mountain trains, because I refused to ride them, I was at dialysis one day and got off at 3 o'clock. I didn't get home until 5. Oh, I'm sorry, they had me tied up. If you got so many clients, don't you think it would be best to have more than one company? If you got that many clients and you that busy, because Flu Rod ain't doing jack, because don't nobody want to ride with them. But instead, he said, Mr. Will said he go and inspect. I need his eyes to inspect what he inspected. Because I inspected not good. I inspected rudeness, nastiness. These folks don't know what they're doing. And yeah, as he said, companies have little quirks. No, that's not a quirk. That's a problem. Because I'm going to put it to you like this.
Please wind down for us in terms of, we had a time frame, but we do have.
Would you put your child on that?
I can't speak to it. I'm not familiar with it, with what.
But no, that's not what I'm saying.
Please wind up.
Let's see if your child would like to ride on a vehicle like that.
You're going to have to wind up your time.
I'm done, because you're going to see me again.
And you have a right to come, and we will let you talk.
And I'm going to be here every time till y'all get something back and let these rascals go.
Is there anybody else to speak? Please come forward. Okay. Okay.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Cherry, and I live in Tarboro. I live on between Princeville and Canita, so I live in Mildred. This is the first time that I ever had to ride transportation because I had a few surgeries. So when I did call social service to set it up, I asked them did they have anybody other than Tar River Transit, only because my son used to ride Tar River Transit, and I didn't like the way they would come, have you be ready 2 hours early. And for somebody like me that's not moving as well, that's a bit much. So if my appointment is at 8 o'clock, I have to be sitting there ready at 6. That's a bit much because you can come in any time. And so that's why I stopped my son from riding, because they would pick him up and drop him off when his job wasn't open. And he's like 6'3" black man standing somewhere waiting for a job to open, and I felt that that was unsafe. So when I chose to ride, the first thing I asked the young lady, I forget her name, but they only have like 2 workers that answer as social service, and one sound really young, I forget her name. But when I called, I was like, do you have anybody other than Tar River Transit? And she said, yeah, and she said Fountain. So it's my first time ever riding transportation. And I can honestly say I really do like Fountain. I like their professionalism. I like that they call me and let me know when they're on their way. So, and I was going to therapy, so I would always set my appointments at 8. They would come and get me there, and they would wait for me because nobody else had an appointment. And I can't really sit in certain vehicles, so they would make sure that everything was well. So with them not having Fountain right now, okay, so we had to switch. So in my switching, I had some important appointments. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I was supposed to be in Raleigh Monday, 3 hours, Tuesday, an hour, Wednesday, an hour. And I called social service ahead of time on the 15th to set it up. The young lady was professional at social service. I knew she handled that because we talked and she let me know that she sent the information over to the new company. Well, when I didn't hear from them Friday, I said, oh my God, I should have called them Friday. I didn't hear from them. I said, okay, well, maybe they're going to do me like Fountain and call me Monday morning and say, well, we on our way to pick you up at such a time. I didn't hear from them. I called them. She said, oh, I didn't get the information. And she blamed it on the worker at social service, which I knew that wasn't untrue. She said, oh, she didn't send it over, so when people do add-ons, she's supposed to send me another form. But I called social service on the 15th, and I knew that young lady had handled her business because she knew, she called me back because she knew when I left her a message how important that call was. Okay, so I let that go. So in the middle of that, had to get somebody to drive me because this was an important appointment, couldn't be canceled. So Tuesday, I said, okay, well, she set it up for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So Tuesday, I didn't see I would have a problem because I talked to the lady. Her name is Taika. What's her name? Taika. That work at the new place? Something? Okay. So Tuesday, I didn't think I would have a problem. I had to be there at 1 o'clock. I didn't hear from them. So when I called them, she said, I said, so what time y'all gonna be here? She said, oh, let me call you right back. So she called me right back and said, all of my drivers are having problem with the devil. So I said, So I said, okay. So I said to my niece, let's go. Because I had to go back because I had some kind of dye in my body. So she called me, she said the driver's on his way, and I'm on the highway. She said the driver's on his way, so I said, where is he? She said, he's on 64. And I said, is he on the bypass or coming the old way? Because if you put my address into your GPS, 3769 US Highway 64, alternate east, if you put it in your GPS, it's going to take you to Rocky Mountain. So with them never having been to my house, I don't know where he was headed. So I told her, I'm good. I said, I'm on my way. And then she blamed it on the girl at social service. So what I did in my car, I called the young lady that worked at social service, and I let her know that she was being thrown under the bus, and the lady told me that she called your supervisor. I said, check, and I know that you handled this accordingly. And I would have felt better if the person at this new company would have said, I apologize, it was our mistake. I'm sorry, we trying to get some kinks out, bear with us. But instead, she just totally lied and tried to throw the worker at social service under the bus, and I didn't appreciate that. So I'm wondering, you know, what's the issue? And then I asked her, I let her know that I couldn't really sit in a Tar River Transit type seat. And she said, well, we ride in cars and something. And so I never had any experience with them. My experience with them wasn't good because I felt like they lied and they threw a good workup under the bus that I have been dealing with since I've started having to ride transportation. And I can honestly say for me, Fountain is very good, and I like their personality. I like because when I first started riding, I'm gonna be honest, when they did have to leave me a few times when I first started riding, never having to ride transportation, I would call back and I would be like, where the driver at? And they would be like, oh, she'll be there in 15 minutes. 15 minutes go by, I'm calling you back. And one thing I really liked about Fountain, and I told any driver that I ever had with them, and I'm an equal opportunity person. If you give me good customer service, I'm going to compliment you. If you give me bad, I'm going to report you. And I can honestly say, I know I have a tone and I have an attitude sometimes. And I don't care who I spoke to, their tone has never changed with me or anything. And I know I'm a lot. And so I could be. And so I just really, with y'all, will get Tar River Transit back, because, not Tar River Transit, Fountain, only because it's causing a lot of issue with people that they already had riding, that they was already used to. Now it's like it's creating so many issues at this point, but thank you.
Is there anybody else to speak? Here.
My name is Brenda Wiggins Davis. The young man in the wheelchair. I am his caretaker and wife. You pray for me. Now, I don't want to be redundant, but I promise you that every complaint you have heard here today and every concern is real. From the beginning, we didn't know that Fountain was no longer going to pick us up. We got that message the morning we called to confirm that they would be on the way. And they said they can't come. They lost the contract. So we called DPSS. DPSS said they would send somebody out, but by the time they got there, it was too late for him to go to that appointment. I think DPSS should have given us notice before September 1. We didn't get notice until September 12th. Also, I've called all these people in this letter. Nobody ever seems to be at their desk.
Ma'am, can you change that microphone real quick?
Nobody ever seems to be at their desk. But I talk a lot. I don't mind talking out the message area and explaining myself, trying to get you to understand that there is an issue I want you to address. So I did. I left messages with Mr. Williams, Ms. Stewart, Mrs. Fox, Ms. Mayfield, Ms. Dupree, and Ms. Mary Hopper. Now, Ms. Mary Hopper has called me back, and Mr. Williams has called me back. And I know he remembers talking to me on the phone. But like I said, these are serious issues that my husband has and these people. I heard someone say that they have 400 to 500 people a day that they have to address. That's an overload. Why don't we have 2 companies assisting DSS? And if we can't get 2 companies assisting DSS, why can't we fault Flowbridge and change them out until they can handle the load? I don't want to sound redundant, but it's serious out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I clarify a number that she just mentioned? So I think that 400 to 500 number was from Mr. Gardner with Tar River Transit. And I think he's referring to their entire service area, not just Edgecombe County and not just Medicaid transportation. They provide transportation for other things as well. So I just want to clarify what that number was.
Anybody else to speak? If not, public session is closed. Any comments from the board?
I wanted to ask Mr. Gardner, do you just have the one vehicle that comes to Edgecombe County that for the Medicaid citizens?
No, ma'am. We have at least 5 to 10 vehicles that serve Edgecombe County. We have 32 vehicles within our fleet. 29 of them are wheelchair equipped. And so we, out of that 32, at least 10 vehicles serve Edgecombe County.
But not particularly all 5, only 1 or so of those do the Medicaid transportation.
Oh, no, ma'am. All of the vehicles I mentioned, they perform Medicaid transportation.
Well, let me kind of sum up what I've heard. And it does appear that we do have some issues, and they are, as Ms. Bell said, they're changed. We've got to change. But according to the way I understand this works, Tar River Transit, and we have a contractor, okay, that based on what has come to us, that they saying to follow the process to get this bid. So what we do have is Tar River contractor provides our transit. Flow V has our contract. And ladies and gentlemen, right now, until such time as, based on your complaints, and our staff has investigated those complaints and made a determination, Flow V is our contractor. Now, I've heard that they are our contractor until such time as they have, as information comes to this board from our investigation and from our staff to make a determination otherwise. That is our contractor. Now, I've heard some of you say, and the third option is available to our residents that use this service, okay? And based on what Mr. Evans has said, you know, all of this is federal and state money, and it's administered by Tar River, and we have a contractor. And we have discussed the options and state the reasons why, the options of another man and a contractor. That question was raised with our board, within our board. We've talked about that. And your comments on that, Mr. Evans, were why?
Well, overall, I think Ms. Battle mentioned we have 300 and some clients currently who are using Medicaid transportation, whether it be of either of our two contractors. The more contractors that you have providing that service, then the fewer customers they're able to transport, potentially transport. And at some point, it has to make a business sense for the company to be able to have the fleet and hire the staff to be able to do that. Now, we'll say that Ms. Battle and her staff in their research since we've started discussing this, most counties surrounding us only have one provider, and that being a regional provider like Tar River Transit. So it is somewhat unusual for us to have a secondary provider. I think it's, now I think it's a good thing for us to offer that as an option, and we're glad that we're able to offer that as an option. We'll continue to monitor both our service providers and try to address any issues we can as quickly as we can.
And I really understand your past relationship with the fountain, the contractor, but we can't base who we get based on what your past relationship were if they did not come out of that bid process. We can't just go out and get who you think we ought to get as a provider, but with your continued input in it, and if our staff determine that it's not working, then we will have to make some decisions. But until such time, I'll have to say to you, and if the board thinks different, they have followed our process to obtain that contract, and until such time as we get information.
That's not fair to us. I'm sorry, but that's not fair to us. That is not fair at all. That's not fair.
But please,
I'm sorry, but that's not fair to us.
I need somebody to ride me now. But please hold your comments, please.
I'm sorry, but it's not fair. I just can't say it like this, because it's not fair. It's not fair.
That's where we are.
No, it's just not fair though. It's not fair. You're wrong. It's not fair. It's like y'all.
Unless we hear something different.
Y'all sitting up there, y'all get to make the decision, but y'all ain't in the way.
Y'all have to ride
the
those things.
people
We
ought
have
to
to
be
ride
able
those
to
things.
make a decision.
We have to
It
ride
ought to
those
be on
things.
us.
I'm going-
It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like this.
I'm going to have to ask you all.
Well, sir, I'm sorry, I'm not disrespecting you or nothing, but it's not fair.
Yeah, it ain't.
It's not fair.
It ain't.
Well,
It's not fair.
You got your people
You
over
don't
there.
have
You
to
can
ride
figure out
those
how
things.
to-
Ma'am.
But it's wrong.
We do.
Ma'am.
I feel like we should have something to say so. I'm
That's-
sorry, I'm not disrespecting.
That's something that this board has never done. It's putting everybody out of a meeting.
Y'all wrong.
Can I ask you a question?
No, y'all is wrong.
Hold on a minute.
I'm going to
Put them out.
You're wrong.
I'm going to declare you out of order.
You just tell me.
I'm going to declare all of you out of order, and please refrain from an outburst. Please refrain from outbursts. You're out of order. Moving on to the next agenda item, Mr. Evans.
Next item is under other business is consideration of budget amendments. You have a number of amendments for your review. You'll see that budget amendments numbers 1 through 4 are those that require your approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have about those 4. I recommend that you approve budget amendments number 1 through 4. The remaining are for your information.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
We'll be back.
Second.
We'll be back. No, you got the chair. Y'all got everything. Go ahead. Hey, come on.
Did we get a second?
No, sir.
No, I'm waiting for something.
Okay.
Second.
Questions?
Tell me about that, tornado, $100,000.
Number 1? Yes, ma'am. So you'll remember at last month's meeting, you approved a memorandum of agreement with the State Department of Public Safety. The state is appropriating $100,000 to help us with debris cleanup from the July tornado. At that meeting, we said that we believe, including the cost of tipping fees at the landfill, it was going to be much more than that, around $300,000. So the two things that I recommended that you do at that meeting was to, number 1, approve accepting that $100,000 from the state. Secondly, to appropriate $50,000 from fund balance to help cover the difference. And third, to waive the tipping fees at our landfill. And that was with understanding we were requesting funds, additional funds from the state. And if we receive additional funds, then we will then reimburse ourselves for those tipping fees. And I was going to mention it later, but I will mention that we have gotten some funds appropriated. We have been notified we're getting some funds, additional funds from the state. So what this is a budget amendment to formalize what you agreed to do at your last meeting.
Oh, okay.
Any more questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved.
Just one comment. I just want to thank staff for elaborating on the purpose. That really, I think that's a great clarification for our budget amendments going
Yes, sir.
forward.
Sure. Thank you for that.
Next.
Item B is regarding approval of land transfer to Edgecombe County ABC Board. It was brought to your attention at your March meeting that the Edgecombe County ABC Board has requested land from the county for the purpose of constructing a new warehouse. The ABC Board asked that the county donate part of a parcel the county owns at the corner of Anaconda and McNair Roads. You authorized me to proceed with determining the exact location and layout to bring back for your consideration. Attached is both an area map as well as a preliminary site layout map. We have here tonight Representative Shellen Willingham, who serves as the chairman of the Edgecombe ABC Board, who will present and discuss the proposed use of the facility and answer questions you may have. I do recommend that you approve the donation of the lot to not exceed 3 acres to Edgecombe County ABC Board and authorize county attorney to prepare me to execute the necessary documents.
Good. You got any comments?
Yes, sir. Your meetings are about as exciting as I was in Raleigh. So I'm losing my voice here. What we're requesting is this land to build a warehouse, and what this will do for us for the ABC system. If we have a warehouse, then what this will do, allow us to buy products, more products that we can sell at prices that we can get when the liquor goes on sale. Every other month, liquor goes on sale for the ABC system. The distributors and distillers, they have discounts that they give. And so if we can purchase more, we have somewhere to put it, we can sell it. Right now, of course, we get a truckload we get a truckload every week. If we were able to store more
product, then of course we can sell more. And then of course if we get the product when it's on sale, then of course when it goes off sale, that's every other month, then of course this would mean that the bottom line would be, much bigger. So it's really simple. We just need a place to put more product. We can sell it if we can get it. We just haven't been able to be in a position to buy more product and have somewhere to put it. So that's why we're requesting this, and that's why we need the warehouse. Right now, what we do, we store the product in two of the stores, the one here in Tarboro and also one in Rocky Mount, but that's not enough space.
Do we need, excuse me, Ms.
Mr. Chair, I need to
Do we need-
recuse myself.
do we
I
need-
serve on that board.
Okay, yes, ma'am. So if she's made the request and the board can vote.
Motion to.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye. All opposed, hearing none, you're excused from this vote. Is there a motion to approve? Did I get a motion? I didn't get a motion. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? 10 seconds. Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, hearing none, you're approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Next on the agenda is regarding addressing our fleet needs. As we discussed at your last meeting, we are considering options to meet the fleet needs that we have, especially for the Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Atkinson has a relatively large percentage of high-mileage vehicles on the road. Based on the information he and his team provided, we need to acquire at least 20 new vehicles to get his fleet to a more reliable state. One option that has been presented is to lease those vehicles. At your special meeting on September 19th, you received the presentation from Mr. Benjamin Crothimer with Enterprise Fleet Management. He shared the benefits of leasing vehicles and the potential costs. You asked that a more specific proposal be done so you can see the actual cost for the specific vehicles we would lease if we chose to go that route. That update is provided here in your packet. I've also included a copy of the proposal presented to you at your last meeting so you can refer to the details of the lease program. There are benefits to leasing vehicles to meet our needs, fleet needs, including assistance with finding vehicles to purchase, assistance with the management of the fleet, and more frequent turnover of vehicles. However, the ongoing annual cost of leasing, in this case $434,340 for 28 vehicles, in light of the additional costs we just encumbered with the implementation of our compensation plan, prompts me to recommend another approach. As you know, we plan to soon sell our ownership interest in a building in Rocky Mount that has been occupied by East Point to Nash County. The offer for our 45% ownership share is $2 million. I recommend that we use $1 million of that plus the $125,000 we already have budgeted for cars to purchase approximately 20 new vehicles for the sheriff. That would include also upfit for those vehicles. We can also internally improve our tracking, maintenance, and turnover of our fleet moving forward. My staff and I certainly stand ready to implement whichever option that the board chooses. I do want to point out that Mr. Crothimer with Enterprise Fleet Management is here again tonight in case you have any questions with that. Also, just for your awareness, if you do choose to go to instruct staff to proceed with leasing vehicles, we will have to get that approved by the local government commission. Of course, that means we'll have to apply to sit before them. It's a procedural step. Just add some time to it, but just wanted you to be aware of that. Happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Now, that means that it's open for board discussion in terms of what we're going to do here. Because you see what the manager has recommended, authorize the manager to proceed with the purchase of 20 vehicles for the sheriff's office. But how do we instruct the manager to proceed with this? Open for board discussion.
As probably the most vocal proponent for leasing vehicles on the board, I'll kind of start us with, I still am in favor of leasing the vehicles. The system that we have now is not working. And so we have, with the sale of this building, the ability to fund a lease program for 20 vehicles plus the other county vehicles that the enterprise is requiring. and see if it works. I mean, we haven't had that ability in the past. We've never had that ability with how we budget for vehicles in the past. So why wouldn't we give it a try and see how it works? Every other county, every other municipality around us is doing it, so there must be some validity to the program. The city of Rocky Mountain has taken their entire fleet to it, so they obviously believe in this program. So that would be my recommendation to the board. My other recommendation to the board, if we want to go with the lease program, since we have the upfront cost to do the upfit, we should pay for the upfit not in the lease. We shouldn't finance the upfit in the lease because then you're paying interest on the upfit. We have the cash. So pay the upfit with our cash and then finance the vehicle just like you'd finance a normal vehicle. And if you look at the menu pricing, you see where they broke out what the actual car is versus what the lease is with the upfit. So they were financing $12,000 of upfit. We wouldn't need to finance the upfit in the lease payment because we're paying for it in cash. So that's what my chart here says. The real breakdown of that is over the 3-year period, you save $17,000. So you could really upfit one more vehicle and have $5,000 left over by paying for that in cash, which we have the ability to do, or will have the ability to do.
And I think I take the position of the manager's recommendation, and while the budget is ours, but we do charge the manager with making sure that the budget is a balanced one. I'd like to see just one question. I thought we were looking at 2.2 million for that vehicle.
I think it might be in excess of 2 million.
In excess of 2, so let's don't leave that out there with them expecting this, okay, for the sale of this building, all right?
Yeah, that was the offer that's been communicated. Certainly, it could land
But that
somewhere.
wasn't one that we talked about. Okay, let's leave that, that's an open question in terms of, okay?
Yes, sir.
But my recommendation would be proceed with what it appears here that the manager is on board of making sure that we get some vehicles for the sheriff's department. But it's kind of waiting until such time as we get what we expected to be a sale of a building. But I'm supporting the manager's position, and I think we need to hear from the board in terms of, we need to give the manager direction. And the direction is how we decide that we're going to proceed with that. Any other public comments from us? Because I would like to see where we're headed before we...
Mr. Wiggins, may I ask our attorney a question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mr. Peters, in regards to that money that should be coming from East Point, can you give us, I mean, I think I termed that pretty much accurate, should be coming.
From Nash County.
From Nash County, okay? Any timeline on that?
No, sir. You know, we hope it will be soon. We hope it will be in the next several months, but we certainly can't commit to a timeline. We're, having ongoing discussions in Nash County.
And I think he's exactly right. I think we're closer than we were based on the way some of the legal action has gone. And that was because of some legal action, but I wouldn't give it a time frame either in terms of I think we were expecting it in the next 6 to 8 months, but that could not be definite.
Yes, sir. I understand. Well, I'm getting ready to say something that's really out of character for me from my own personal experience, because I would not dare lease a vehicle, but I'm on board with Mr. Thorne. Mr. Evans wants to get off the list, and so do I. I want to get off the list. We've been talking about the sheriff's needs, and this waiting and see. We've been waiting and seeing ever since I've been on this board. And whatever we got to do, I mean, look, I've been sitting here kind of like a pendulum doing like this. But if we can go ahead and lease, and that's the quickest thing to do, then let's do it. That's my 2 cents.
Can I hear from any other question? Go right ahead.
We can't do anything until we get the money from East Point, right?
Well, it's not from East Point. We can do what, he gonna do whatever we say, okay?
But are we gonna say we need to do something now without the money from East Point?
That's what's on that's what's really on the table, Reverend Hines, in terms of will we give the manager instruction to proceed with that lease? And based on that, he has to do there's probably going to have to be some budget amendments and other things done to make that happen. But that's a question that if you could help us where you are and where you support the manager's recommendation, or whether you're talking about leasing, then that would help us give him a sense of direction as to where we're going to go with this.
But my question still is, can we do anything without East Point?
Yes,
money?
we can.
We can.
We can.
Okay.
We can, it's not really East Point, it's the sale of our land to Nash County. The sale of our building to Nash County. Anybody else? I'd like to hear from the board.
I have spent a great deal of time figuring back and forth on this thing, and like Mr. Webb, I'm a pendulum swinging back and forth, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna have to say, I'm gonna support the leasing plan. I don't think there's any short-term benefit. It's gonna cost us a little money. I think there's a long-term gain overall. I believe it will actually help us improve our cash flow instead of taking our $1 million and dedicating it to cars. But I just think overall, and like Mr. Webb, I would personally never lease a car. It's just not good for my situation. But in this particular situation, in an attempt to continuously have cars that are at least reasonably in good shape, and for the sheriff's department, not to mention 8 other departments. And instead of counting on a wish in your hand that we get a check for $1.2 million or 5 point whatever it is, or 2.2 whatever it is, I don't see it increasing that much problem as far as cash flow on the budget, even if we lease, versus other things. And I just think the long-term benefits may be a little bit better for us in the future.
My concern was based on the loss of the revenue from the loss of the federal prisons in terms of how Mr. Evans would balance the loss of that income and still take on this expense. That's my concern here.
But we're literally talking about moving money that's coming in from the sale of the building to fund this. His purchase for 20 vehicles is coming from the sale of the building. So we could just take that money and budget it right up front to spend on those cars.
But what happens if we don't get the money in 6 months?
I mean, you could tell him to authorize it as soon as the money comes in. That's our decision. Once the money from the building sale comes in, we could authorize it then. It's my understanding that we have plenty of reserves to do that, and then just move it back to the fund balance once we have that. I think we're operating at a 26%.
I'll give you an opportunity. I'll give you an opportunity.
Well, I don't like putting the cart before the horse, because I don't trust whether we're going to get the money from Nash County or not. And I'm not a person that leases vehicles either. I believe the manager has taken all into consideration before he made his, what he thought we ought to do. And that's what we're paying for. And that's what I would be voting on.
That's the position you take?
Yes.
I too can, after the lengthy conversation with the budget committee and after a lot of questions this time, I can go along with it as well.
Where are you, Reverend?
So you're saying that we can do what we need to do for the sheriff before we get the money from East Point,
Well,
Nash County?
my recommendation was to wait until we got that money. Now, you as a board can decide that you want to go ahead and pull that money from fund balance if you want to. That's certainly up to you to decide to do that. I would need you to, in part of your motion, if you're going to make a motion to instruct me to do.
Where would we be if we got the money from fund balance? Where would fund balance be? Would it be according to where state wants us to be with fund balance?
Well, we're well above the requirement for the state, which is 8%. At the end of our 22 audit, we were a little over 26%. Now, we did cut into that $2 million here recently with our compensation plan. That'll be ongoing. So that's about 3 percentage points, 4 percentage points on our unassigned fund balance.
But would we still be where the state requires us to be with our fund balance?
You will be well above. You'll be well above that, whether you choose to spend the money to purchase outright or you chose to lease vehicles, we would still be well above that 8%. Yes, sir.
What has our sheriff had an opinion on this? Of whether he wants to do the leasing or purchase?
Well,
He wants some cars.
I know, but I'd like to know his opinion.
Well, I'd be cautious to try to speak on behalf of him. I know he and his staff have discussed leasing as an option, have discussed it with the company Enterprise, and I know he wants to have a more reliable fleet. But I don't want to sit here and speak for him and whether or not he preferred lease or purchase.
You want to, excuse me, you want to,
Yeah, just want to make one comment. Just keep in mind, again, thank you, Frank Crider, for having me out. You won't see these vehicles for several months, so keep that in consideration when you're budgeting. And then when you get those vehicles and they land, let's say January, February, you're only going to be responsible budgeted for the remaining months of the fiscal year. So if you don't see those vehicles till March or April, just prorate that. So keep that in mind. It's just important to get those vehicles on order. And again, some lead times are 6 months out, so we just want to be proactive.
And that's just a function of finding the vehicles and then being
Finding vehicles, arranging upfit, manufacturer cutoffs. We're in an auto worker strike right now, so it's more than ever just trying to need to be proactive. So what you're actually budgeting for, it might come in this fiscal a lot less, just based on inventory and when those vehicles deliver. But just as you know, with Rocky Mount, we just need to start looking for vehicles and sourcing them.
Question, yeah. When would you expect a check from
You don't-
Edgecombe County?
Each vehicle is its own individual contract, and we don't require a check till the month following when a vehicle delivers. So if you don't take delivery for, let's say, vehicle A until March, you'd get your first invoice, your monthly invoice, the following month. So nothing would be, there'd be no invoicing, no billing until vehicles start delivering. We just need to order them or start sourcing to find them.
Okay.
So we could sit here in 6 months and have not collected a.
you still didn't tell us where you're going to be on this, where you're supporting on.
I'm supporting the idea of getting the vehicles for the sheriff, because the sheriff has asked. And,
We're talking about supporting a lease agreement or supporting what the manager has recommended. Where are you on?
whatever the manager recommended.
I just want to say one more thing. We already have $125,000 budgeted for this. We're looking at 434. It's a $309,000 difference. $177,000 ahead on sales tax, which we can't count on either, but it's there. And we can much easily plug a hole with a building we sell in the budget than we can with $309,000 that we get ready to use.
Well, the manager has recommendations to authorize the manager to proceed with the purchase of 20 vehicles for the sheriff's office.
Approximately 20, as many as we can get for $1,125,000.
So my suggestion on that is that the sheriff need cars, okay? And so it does not appear that we lean into the lease agreement. And I think that authorization needs to be to proceed with getting, when we're given the manager authorization, proceed with the purchase of those vehicles. Okay, we proceed with, you're saying with more than 20, we'll authorize you to see what we can do in this budget year. Okay, that would be my, even if that's reaching. Now, do we need to vote on this? Do we need?
We'll have to have a motion,
Yeah,
right?
you gotta have a motion.
Is a motion to authorize the manager to proceed with the purchase of 20 vehicles for the sheriff's office? The chair makes the motion. Is there a second? There's a second. Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
The motion approves 4-3.
Thought she said she was going with leasing it.
No, the motion, just right.
I mean, what she.
No, she was the lead.
No, I
She
was
from-
going with what he recommended.
Yeah, she was from the other. The motion passes 4-3. Moving on, next on it.
The next item on the agenda is regarding our revisions to our compensation plan. At your September meeting, you approved the implementation of our new compensation plan. Since the new compensation plan is such an overhaul from our previous one, We've continued to review it to see if there are any errors to fix or changes to make. After review from our department heads, we have the following update for your consideration to address those corrections and changes needed. Attached is a summary of those changes which present no additional appropriation needed to the budget. I recommend that you approve the updated compensation plan ordinance as presented.
Motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next.
Attachment number 8, item E, is regarding urgent repair. We've been awarded $67,000 from the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency for the urgent repair program. I recommend that you accept the award by approving the grant agreement and project ordinance as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, and it is approved.
Item F is regarding Tar River Transit for our Rural Operating Assistance Fund. Edgecombe County is eligible to receive these funds to assist residents with transportation through what's called the Rural Operating Transportation Fund. We partner with Tar River Transit to apply for and administer these funds for us. We will have available a total of $166,284 that should be. This covers 3 categories of elderly and disabled transportation assistance, employment transportation assistance, and rural general public assistance. I recommend that you approve the submission of this application and authorize me to execute the enclosed forms.
Motion?
I got a question first.
Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
Who controls this money? How is it dispersed? How do we make them accountable for it, especially after hearing what we're hearing tonight?
So this is outside of Medicaid. Medicaid is a separate funding source.
Okay.
Medicaid goes through the process of
Okay.
scheduling through but they are paid directly through the state. This is other rural transportation, and so they have to report on how many residents, Edgecombe residents, that they transport using these funds. They have to make sure that the resident is using it for the eligible use. But they report to us, I believe, on a monthly basis, how many citizens that they transport.
So we receive, they have parameters for who can use it, and we receive a monthly report
Yes.
on how that money is used and who it's used for.
That's correct.
Okay,
Yes.
That's actually my question.
Yes, sir.
That's the first time I let him get out of here without giving me a number. I asked him every year, how many Edgecombe County citizens are actually utilizing this transportation, since every time we give this money. He scooted on out before I get this money.
Any other questions? If not, all in favor, let it be known by the voting sign of aye. All opposed? Hearing none. Next.
I don't think there was a motion.
Was there a motion? We got,
We never made a motion.
Oh, he had the question.
keep me straight.
Motion.
Motion, second.
Motion.
Second. Okay, now question. Now, all in favor, let it be known by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next.
The next item is regarding surplus of vehicle and computer equipment. You have for your consideration the following vehicle that is listed in the attached list of computers and related equipment that now have exceeded their useful life. I recommend that you approve the surplus of the above vehicle and reference list of computers and related equipment as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Questions?
My question,
Go ahead.
who has the 104,000 miles? The 12-passenger van or the truck? Or both of them together, that many miles?
It's one vehicle. It's a Ford van, a 12-passenger van. It has 104,000 miles. It was a cooperative extension van.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none. Next.
Next item on your agenda is regarding the 2022 Water Assistance Management Plan. We've received notice from North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality of a grant award for the 22 Water Asset Management Plan. The award, which is funded with federal ARPA funds, totals $307,255. The project will locate and survey locations of all water distribution assets not currently mapped, infill inspections of hydrants, storage tanks, booster stations, and chemical feed stations, and create a hydraulic model of the system. It is recommended that you approve the enclosed resolution and accompanying grant project ordinance as presented.
Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next.
Next item is similar. This is from the same funding source for sewer system study. Again, federal ARPA funds totaling $561,000 to, it will locate and survey sanitary sewer, smoke testing of various sewer mains, CCTV, closed caption television inspections, along with various inspections and assessments. I recommend that you approve the enclosed resolution and project ordinance as presented.
Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Next, we have a special use permit application received from Barnhill Contracting Company. It is requesting to expand their permitted sand mine off Ellis Lane. A public hearing is required. I recommend that you call for that public hearing at your November meeting.
Is there a motion?
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye. Aye. All opposed, the public hearing is called. Next.
This is regarding the CDBG Neighborhood Revitalization Program application we've talked about a couple of times. As staff continues to work with our consultant to prepare an application for the NC Department of Commerce's Neighborhood Revitalization Program, one critical action is needed from you at this meeting. Just as a reminder, this is a program that can fund various housing programs and services for primarily low to moderate income families. We are considering preparing and submitting an application for what we refer to as scattered site housing rehabilitation. In other words, not a group of houses in one place but scattered across the county. The application must include potential recipients. To select those potential recipients, we must have a housing selection committee with bylaws and guidance, which is included for your consideration. I recommend that you adopt the housing selection committee bylaws and guidance. I also recommend that you call for the final public hearing to be held at your November meeting.
Motion?
So moved.
Chair seconds. Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. Planning board?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Like Ms. Braswell,
She's still here?
She still woo, that's what you did.
Let's talk to Brian back there.
sir.
Let's talk to Superintendent back there.
Planning board meeting was held on September 18th, and the purpose of the meeting, there was a training session conducted by Chad Meadows of Code Right Planners. So no action is needed by the board, more of it for your information.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, thank you.
Council list of releases for approval. Anything to be brought to our attention?
No, sir. Happy to be answering the questions that you have.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by vote saying aye. All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. Contracts for review and approval. Anything be brought to the board's attention, Ms.
No,
Evans?
sir. You have a list there that requires your approval and one for information.
Any question on the list from the board?
I did.
Yes, ma'am.
The one with the sheriff's department.
Mm-hmm.
I really combed through this thing really, really good this time, and I guess Ms. Battle would have to answer those questions for me. But I'm still trying to determine why we are paying for 3 deputies. I mean, we're paying a salary, insurance, and all that. And I've checked with a lot of counties who don't do it that way. So I was wondering why. Because, I mean, why do we have 3 deputies? Why are we paying for 3?
You mean for social service?
For this delivering papers and that kind of thing?
For child, and this is child support related.
Right.
That's right. Well, I'll let Ms.
Okay, so according to
Come
the
on,
sheriff,
come on.
He has, that's how many deputies it takes to serve the papers. We serve a lot of papers in child support all over the county, out of county. And according to Sheriff Atkinson, he's, I guess, assigned 3 deputies to perform that service.
But see, to me, I felt like it's a contracted service. Those employees work for the Sheriff's Department. They don't work for DSS. So why are we paying salaries? I mean, and neither one, all 3 of these are different salaries and benefits and travel. And when I looked at the totals, I mean, I don't quite understand that.
I think the question, what is the source of money for this? So it might be the source of money that we're talking about in terms of how that money comes to us, and to contract them like that. I think the county, best past knowledge I had, it might be a cost factor that we're getting from maybe some federal and state funds.
It's on the second or third page of the contract, the breakdown of how the money, like what percent, how much is county, how much is federal, and how much is state.
And I think it's a savings in money, the way that is done, Ms. Harris, based on some previous conversation I've had with somebody, okay? I can't remember who.
Yeah, I think I've had this conversation before.
And I think that's, and what it appears to be is county contracting with county services, but the cost in there is the amount of invest. I think our finance officer can help us with that.
I mean, I don't.
It looks like we're spending 33% of it, and
Right.
the rest is federal funds.
And
There's
Exactly.
0 state funds.
And I
So
think
the
that's,
state, the federal government, we get reimbursed for those positions at 66.67%.
and
If
that's
that's what you're asking.
and that is the reason why we see that contract service, rather than just having deputies assigned to that responsibility from the sheriff department. It's figured so that we will benefit from any other source of funding.
Okay, now, I want you to take a look at, this page under, where it's service program description. I'm trying to determine if the dates are right.
What page you on?
Page 8 of 30. Said effective date, first day of July 2022,
That's wrong.
and shall continue until June of 23.
That is
Okay.
a typo.
Okay, so that needs to be correct.
That needs to be correct.
That's page 8. That's one of the main things. Okay. And it said a designated deputy shall devote 100% of their professional time to the services set forth of this agreement. Okay. We sure that's all they doing all day, every day? 3 of them.
Well, we're sure that they submit monthly reports saying that's what they do all day.
It's about like any other county employee that we don't know what they're doing all day.
Well, no, see, I've seen the list before about how many papers went out and how many didn't get served. And if you got 3 full-time deputies, not a single paper shouldn't get served.
Well, sometimes, and I'm sure the sheriff will tell you this as well, the papers aren't getting served because the men aren't presenting themselves available.
Okay.
And so, they tell us that they can go to the home, and if.
And I went on that ride along, and that is true.
Yeah.
I went on there when they knocked on several houses, and folks didn't come to the door.
But we still have to pay for them spending the time to serve that paper, even though the individual wasn't actually served, so.
You don't look out the window, see the deputy, and you ain't paid your support, and come to the door.
I know that's one reason,
Okay.
They get paid for the attempt.
For the attempt. Okay. All right, but just make sure on that page 8, before we send anybody else, you get the year straight.
Okay, yes, is that the only?
Is your motion to approve with the corrected date?
Yes.
Okay, then. You get a second on that?
I second.
Any other questions? All in favor, let it be known by voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none. Next on the departmental, reports, what you had a question?
There's, even the typographical error where you got Leonard Wiggins, county manager.
Well, it was,
Yeah.
yes, it's, yeah, there.
For where he signs, okay. Yes.
It's already across the street. Departmental reports, anything in there they brought to our attention?
You have the water and sewer update report in your agenda packet. Also, I do want, for item B, the monthly financial summary, I would like to call Ms. Linda Barfield, our CFO, to give you a brief overview of that report.
Good evening, Commissioners. So with our monthly financial report that you see in your packets each month, we thought it might be a good idea to kind of go over some of the numbers to kind of put them into context for you. The report was designed to look or similar to our ordinance. Revenues are going to be grouped by type and expenditures by department. The intent of this report is to show our stakeholders how our budget compares to our actual. It shows how much money we've collected and spent thus far this fiscal year, and this helps us keep track of our fund balance, which in turn helps us make decisions about budgeting, saving, and managing taxpayer funds effectively. You will notice that our revenues seem to lag behind our expenditures, and this is true for two primary reasons. First, our DSS and health programs, along with many of our grants, are reimbursable. That means we have to spend the money up front, and we get those costs reimbursed usually a month or two after we've done the spending. Also, we follow the modified accrual accounting method, which basically means that many of our July, August, and even some September revenues went back to June. So for our sales tax, for example, you'll notice that there was nothing shown reported. That is because for the funding that we got from July, August, and September, for April, May, and June sales were received in July, August, and September. And so we put those back against the 2023 fiscal year. And the other two pages we've separated them between our general fund and then our proprietary funds, the water and sewer department, and solid waste. And if you have any specific questions about them, I'll be glad to try and answer them.
Any questions from Finance Office? Thank you.
Can I talk about the audit? Okay. I'd also like to take this opportunity to just give you an update on our annual audit process. I'm pleased to announce that we are on track. We're doing really good. We've had 2 on-site visits already, had a lot of good feedback, and we are geared up and looking forward to getting the audit completed and submitted by November 30th, which we think is a reasonable time frame. And so just wanted to let you know that that process was well underway, and so far everything is looking pretty good. So we still have to wait to find out the final result.
That means if you get an audit and you're off to a good start. Okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that is my goal.
You can do everything right this year. If you don't get the audit in, everything wrong.
I got you. And that's my sentiments exactly.
I want to know if our reconciliations are up to date.
Yes, ma'am. We are balanced in July and August. We've got them, I think July's balanced, and we're working on August. Yes, ma'am. We are not behind on any bank statements.
Well, thank you for that.
Good to hear that. And we're on schedule to make sure
After our public petitions, thank you for that good report.
I'm sorry.
I was trying to make sure, and we're up to date on what we owe to IRS, and we've got that on.
So that's a good question. Yes, we are up to date. I will say that they're backlogged, so it takes time for them to go through and update those processes. But we have spoken to the IRS supervisors and agents directly, and we are expected, as soon as they get all that keyed in, everything will be where it needs to be. So yes, I could say that we're good with IRS.
So So we can be on time, but we gotta wait on them, that's right.
Actually, yes.
Okay.
We can't be late.
We can't,
Sound
we
like
can't
General
be
Assembly to me.
We can't be late, but they said it was such a backlog and they could not guarantee when it would be done, but that basically we're not in any kind of enforceable status and they have what they need. It's just a matter of them getting it all keyed in. Thank you.
Thank you, now. Moving on, go ahead.
Next is update regarding tornado debris cleanup and tipping fee waiver. As I mentioned a moment ago, you approved at your last meeting, last regular meeting, to accept the $100,000 from the state and appropriate an additional $50,000. You voted to waive tipping fees for vegetative debris cleanup. We have been informed that with the most recently approved state budget, that it includes $300,000 additional funds to come to the county to help us with debris cleanup, not just vegetative debris, but also construction and demolition debris. We have a few properties out in the area that were affected that were either uninsured or underinsured, and therefore they will need some assistance, not just with removing the vegetative debris, but also with removing some of the construction demolition from houses and other structure that were damaged on their property. So we're grateful to have $300,000 for that, and I know Representative Willingham is not here, but I know he was very much instrumental in helping us with getting that. In fact, his staff reached out to me and asked for some numbers on the funding that we needed, and so we want to thank him and his staff for assisting us with that. So our staff is meeting, Antoine and his staff are meeting with the contractor, the debris cleanup contractor, tomorrow morning, I believe it is. And so we should in the next few days have a date of when that's going to start. They will communicate directly with residents who were affected to let them know, this is when it'll start. We've already communicated where they need to put debris, but we'll remind them of that just to let them know what to expect from that.
Well, you requesting a waiver on that first? Do we need to vote on something on this?
Yes, sir. So at this point, being that we expect to get funds from additional funds from the state to not only help cover that gap that we already knew we were going to have with the vegetative debris cleanup, but also some funds that will allow us to clean up construction and demolition debris for those who are uninsured and underinsured. I recommend that you extend that waiver of the tipping fee to include construction and demolition for those that were directly affected by the tornado that are uninsured, underinsured, would be my recommendation.
I think we need to excuse Ms.
I'd
Paul
like to recuse myself from that, since I'm
from this
one of the
because
victims.
she was a victim. Is there a motion to excuse?
So moved.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye. Aye. All opposed? Now, the motion was to state that motion again.
Recommendation is to extend the waiver of tipping fees to include construction and demolition for those uninsured and underinsured.
Do I have a motion? Second. Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. Moving on.
You have in your packet a new Edgecombe Soil and Water Conservation District newsletter. That's something new that they're doing, and Scott was here earlier, but I think they did a really good job with that, and so thank them for.
Yeah, I kind of read all of that. It gives me an insight of really what they're doing.
Yeah,
they're doing a lot of things that don't know they
might not. Yeah, they're very busy out. Yes, sir. Unless you have any questions about department reports, I'll move on to
Just comment, I know you got that, but got cut off before the water update, and I sent it to staff today, but just for the record, just wanted to state, in that report, this month we had a 3% water loss. 3%. I asked Mike Matthews to give me some context of what that looks like for a system of our size, and he said we should be targeting for 12 to 14%. So that's how well that department's really doing. And if you'd really think about actual numbers, not just percentages, I know we can talk about percentages all day, actual numbers, that means that department brought us in $85,319.25 in additional revenue just by water loss. So
That
Kudos-
is certainly
major
a great
kudos to them.
improvement.
Thank you for
A
that.
great
Thank you for that,
improvement.
Mr. Thorne.
Paul Mosley, who's our utilities director, is here, and I know that there's a lot of sweat and hard work behind bringing those percentages down. I want to say thank you to
All right, Mike.
Still is, right. They have to chase them around.
Were you the cause?
On day one.
Before
you turn it off.
No, just before they gave him the job. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Evans.
Under manager's report, you see there I have major events and updates, and remind you, this is not an exhaustive list of all the meetings that I may have had or attended, but just some of the major things I want you to be aware. Have the workforce development indicators, the monthly tourism development authorities, financial report. This is the same report as presented to the Tourism Development Authority, and want you to have a copy of that as well. Item D is an update on the FY22 state appropriations grant. As I mentioned a moment ago, one thing I forgot to mention, in addition to the $300,000 we've been made aware that we're going to receive to help with disaster recovery from the tornado in July, also in the state budget is $14.2 million to increase the sewer capacity at Kingsborough Industrial Park. As you know, for a long time, we've been working very hard to chip away any of those boxes that get presented to us when a client comes and sits down at the table that we can't say yes to. And a lot of work, investment, and thank you all for your commitment and vision and foresight about Kingsborough. It started 20 years ago plus. One of the last things that was left hanging out there is we have enough sewer capacity to cover usually one of the clients that we talk with. But we don't have enough sewer capacity to cover 2 or more large clients at Kingsborough. Also, we want to make sure that we are able to say to these clients, and Mr. Bob Pike is here tonight, we want him and his team, when they're talking with clients, to be able to say, look, we already have funds in hand. And so that was something that we have pushed for and had a lot of conversation about. So very pleased to see in the state, recently approved state budget, $14.2 million to increase our sewer capacity at Kingsborough. It usually takes a couple, 2 or 3 months before paperwork comes, so you'll be seeing a grant agreement and such be coming back to you at some point. But with that said, you know that we received some funds last year as well, and Ms. Bess is going to come to give you an update on our FY22 appropriation.
So the first amount, can y'all hear me? That we received $1 million in that grant for costs associated with the QVC fire. We have already been reimbursed. We have reimbursed ourselves this amount for the direct costs and revenue loss. This has helped to fill the revenue gap created by the QVC fire. The second project under the grant was the $250,000 we received for the QVC Employee Support Program, which we submitted that, funneling those funds through the United Way, and we've reached out to them. They're still working out. They have received the funds, and they're going to get a report to us that we'll update with you at a later time as to who has been helped with those funds. The third project in the grant was the Leggett Fire Station to complete the needs assessment and engineering and architectural design for the fire station in the town of Leggett. This is also complete. We've also been told that there's $1 million in the new state budget for construction, and we will use the balance to do the demolition and land prep. This project was for $1 million. It included the Leggett Fire Station, also includes the evidence processing and storage facility for the sheriff's office. That was for $50,000. The needs assessment has been completed on that, and we are seeking funding options for construction on that. The Edgecombe Animal Shelter, we received $775,000. Construction costs of the for the construction costs of the Edgecombe County Animal Shelter, total estimated cost is $1.5 million. We plan to use those funds for land cleaning, site preparation, and connection to utilities.
and we will soon present a funding plan to the Budget Committee for construction of the animal shelter. And then the last amount that we received, the $1.5 million of the fourth project in the grant, was for the fire and rescue equipment at Kingsborough. We have purchased one truck. We have purchased equipment for the other truck, and also are working to order turnout gear, the second truck, and equipment for the second truck. Are there any questions?
Ms. Vest, can you give us that number for the animal shelter one more time?
Yes, so we received $775,000 for construction costs of the new Edgecombe County Animal Shelter. The total estimated cost is $1.5 million, which the balance will be matched by the county.
It's actually, I may have made a wrong note. It's actually,
Yeah.
right now, we're estimating $4 million
I was gonna say that sound mighty
for,
cheap.
for construction of the animal shelter. And so of that, the $775 that we have in hand will go towards construction. We want to use that to get started on land clearing, site preparation, connection of utilities, and those kinds of things. And so then we are looking at, I recommend this be something that the board can discuss more, but I recommend that $2+ million from Nash County, that we use at least $1 million of that to go towards construction of the animal shelter. And then the balance of that, we borrow that from USDA Rural Development. USDA Rural Development has a community facilities loan program. This would qualify for that. You can get terms extended 30 years, 20 years, interest rates right at 3.5%. Debt service would be manageable on that, but, you know, I would say we discussed that a little bit more. So it's good to know, and for the public that are here that have been interested to hear about our plans for animal shelter, I think we're getting close to moving forward with that. I did share the plans for the building with the Animal Welfare Advisory Council at the meeting last week. There are a few more I's to dot, T's to cross with that, you know, but we pretty much know we've got a building now, planned for a building that's going to cost us around $4 million, that we believe will be a good size to accommodate current needs plus expansion. Also going to be having conversation with the town of Tarboro now that we have a number to see what level of participation they might want to have if they still want to participate.
I really want us to move forward with that. We've been kicking that can down the road too long.
So, one point clarification, it's $2 million more for Leggett Fire Department, not $1 million in the new budget, but it hadn't gone through yet. So that would be $3 million total for the Leggett Fire Department through state appropriations.
And also, if I could add, my understanding is that that's going to be given directly to Leggett Fire Department
Correct.
and not come through the county.
Yeah, I think it has to go to our fund balance, but it goes straight to them, my understanding, so.
Do they have a timetable on that, or when they're gonna begin anything?
I think as soon as the money is available, they're ready to move. I think they're pretty squared away on their plan for what they want to do.
And then just to kind of a clarifying point to what you just were stating, and I went back and pulled this as well, that we're allocating 1.1 or 1 million of that money from the sale of the Nash County building for purchasing vehicles that we just voted on.
That's what he think, he said he recommended.
That's what he recommended, and that's what we voted on tonight. Okay, in his proposal and attachment, he said that because of the cost of the compensation pay plan, he doesn't think that he can budget it. And now he's asking for that money to go towards the animal shelter.
He said, the way I understood it, 1 million of the 2 would go toward the vehicles.
Okay. And so then $1 million towards the animal shelter, and then the concern is just the budgeting for the compensation plan?
Well, I guess.
I think my point was that my recommendation was to use these funds we expect to get from the sale of that building instead of pulling it from fund balance because of the additional cost that the compensation plan has added to us.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Go right ahead, Ms. Evans.
Update on county line merger. Briefly, I'll mention that the Edgecombe school system had the second public meeting last Tuesday at the D.S. Johnson Elementary School. I think it was well attended, and some very good questions were asked and answered, I believe. As you all know, I want to make sure the public is aware, we are planning for a joint meeting of the 4 boards, and those 4 boards being this board, Board of Commissioners for Nash County, Edgecombe and Nash School Boards. We're planning for that meeting on October the 16th at 7 p.m. at Rocky Mount Event Center. The purpose of that meeting is for all 4 boards to hear presentation from both superintendents and their staff about their respective size of this transition plan that's being drafted and finalized now. We won't be asking the boards to take any action on that night because we want to make sure that you have plenty of time to ask questions at that meeting. If there are questions that can't be answered, we want to make sure there's adequate time to follow up on that. But what we are asking is that each of the 4 boards then at their regular meeting in November to adopt a resolution, and Mr. Peters is working with the other attorneys involved to craft a resolution that we'll all be approving the same resolution, so we'll collectively be approving the transition plan. Now, you may decide that after that meeting on the 16th, you might want to have some more discussion. You certainly are welcome to call for a special meeting if you need to outside of your November meeting or before your scheduled November meeting. But right now, the plan is to have that 4-board joint meeting on October 16th at 7 p.m. at Rocky Mount Event Center.
And when am I going to have that plan in my hand?
So they are, both school superintendents and their staff are to finish their reports and get them to the managers by the 9th. I think that's the Monday before. We will package those and get those out to you as soon as we get them.
That's October, where you said it?
Rocky Mount Event Center. Right now, we're planning for it to be in the Edgecombe room on the first level, but we'll confirm that.
You sure we don't need to start no earlier than 7? I got a feeling it's going to be a long conversation.
Well, that's up to the boards, I will say.
Yeah, I think it will be up to the boards, and there probably might be a slight difference between what the Edgecombe plan says and what Nash says, and okay.
So we're going to get a plan from both boards?
Both boards.
School boards.
That's
Both
correct.
boards.
And that is discussing their side of the transition,
Right.
if you will.
Okay.
So the conveyance of property from Nash schools, the acceptance of property from that kind of thing. So to be from their respective side of the transition.
Will that include the budget amount for that for that conveyance? Are we asking, I'm sure Nash County's going to ask us for money.
Nash County asking us for money. Yeah, so it will include the request
Nash
for.
Rocky Mount Schools.
Yeah, our continued support of the students that will remain in the
That
school
will
system. Yes, sir.
remain in the school system.
Okay, but we wouldn't have to pay for the property that's in those schools, that's Rocky Mount City Schools.
No,
That's
sir.
that's already been
Are
clarified.
we sure?
Well, I will say there's
I don't know that we're sure.
there's some discussion about property that was acquired through federal funds. It has been brought up in our planning committee meetings, that there seems to be an understanding that federal rules that come with those funds, that any property that's acquired that they can't be given, they have to be sold based on the depreciated value of property at the time. I think, I don't want to speak for all the boards. I think most of the people in the room understands that those funds for that equipment and what have you in those schools was sent to Nash County School System for the benefit of those students, who then will become Edgecombe students. So I think in principle, it makes sense for those items that were acquired for their benefit to follow those students. Now, they are discussing that. Can they do that? What possibility they have with that? I know Edgecombe school system folks were scheduling a meeting, I think they were to have that last week, maybe.
With the state.
With folks from the Department of Public Instruction to hopefully get some guidance on that.
It is an unanswered question right now in terms of, our position has been that we don't owe nothing and that all of the property ought to stay. Okay.
Right, because.
We don't know what the answer to that question is.
They're our schools, and we just take back our schools. So
our
you're saying
fault.
there's a question whether or not
The
they're gonna take
equipment and
stuff out of the
different things is
school?
We own the building, not the desk, per
Right.
se.
Yeah, not the buildings. They get federal funds. Most of it is what they
I
call
know, but they
Title I funds.
Right, right.
And they buy computers, desks, other things, you know.
And
other
they have
technology.
they have an inventory of everything
So
that
my
they.
question was, are we gonna have to pay for that personal property, if you're looking at insurance, personal property versus property?
They might ask for it.
Well, I would say that the tone of the meetings have been supportive of what decision that, what the final decision that we get. So it's very promising
Oh, okay.
that based on the discussions that we're probably going to be able to keep that. If so, at a minimum cost. So we're talking about some other means in terms of our attorneys getting together, and still it is an unanswered question. That is the bottom line. It's an unanswered question.
Because I'm also hearing the same thing about school buses. You know, they went to that new 66 passenger bus, and Edgecombe is still at 56.
Well, I think that just a difference. I think Nash County has got more 72 passenger buses, and we're at 65.
I mean, it was 7, yeah.
And our maintenance department cannot handle the 72 passenger buses.
So we get no new buses.
Okay, so that still is an unanswered question in terms of what we're gonna do with that. But it's our school staffs, Nash County and Edgecombe, the maintenance folks, and they are working on how we can accomplish, how we can do that. And just a matter of public, the sessions have been going very well, and all of the staffs, you know, they're looking at what policy is and seeing what they really can do. So I think those of us that have been represented there from the county, I think from what I hear from everybody, I know that I am satisfied with the way everything is going now. But the bottom line is, when we finish with the plan, where we are, and how we got there, and what we think we're going to get and what we might not, we're not there yet.
But we think we're gonna be there by October 16th.
October the 9th is when
well,
we would have had a plan.
They might have some other answers for us that we have in terms of some of those, because they were dealing with some of those last week, that we have not gotten the benefit of those discussions on yet.
Sorry, I was just clarifying that we are expecting, we think that we will get all those clarifications.
Well, we know we've got, I'm saying that we, if the state gives them to us, okay, they've had several appointments with the state that was changed. I would say it's not because of what our local folks have been doing to get those answers, okay? I think some of the questions that they've asked, the state had to find themselves, okay, in terms of, so they're doing some research on that. That's where I think we are.
My real concern is gonna be the teachers.
And they have been having, even at, our county has done somewhat of a slight change in our application process to accommodate any of those staff that might want to stay where they are, okay? But you know, it might not be enough vacancies in Nash County for all of them, and some of them will want to stay anyway. They're going to want to stay where they are. Any other questions that might come to your mind about those discussions that we're having with you? But I would say, based on our staff, that we've been satisfied with. When we get to those legal issues, you know, we'll deal with them.
So you believe within that report, staffing will be part of that as well?
Yes. Yeah, they've already identified how many teachers will be affected, how many they need.
Right.
As Mr. Chairman said, that they now have an expedited application process, so for those who are interested can more quickly go through that process for our school system.
Any other questions? If not, moving on.
I'll mention, we had some discussion at the last meeting about now that the sheriff does not house federal inmates, the budgetary impact that might have on us. And for the sake of time, I won't walk through this spreadsheet. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, but obviously it presents some financial impact. I provided, the sheriff sent a letter today. You have a copy. I sent it earlier, and you have a copy at your seat. You know, I think, you know, in his letter, he's saying that the reason was because of being short-staffed, need to be able to have enough adequate and well-trained staff to be able to handle our local detainees, and then, which is our primary his primary responsibility. So he talks about his staffing issue in there. He mentions near the end of his letter that he is hopeful that the new compensation plan will help to fill some of those vacancies. I would suggest that at this moment, we need to be aware of this. We need to continue to look at this, have conversation about this. I think we will need to at some point make some budgetary changes, because right now, you know, depending on how long we don't have them, when they may or may not come back, we're budgeting right now $1.3 million that we won't see that full amount for this fiscal year. I don't see that you need to make any decisions about this tonight, just to be aware of this. Continue to have conversations with the sheriff and see where things go, and then bring this back for future discussion. Also, you'll remember that in your approval of our FY24 budget, we included funds for umbrella of programs we're referring to as Edgecombe Works. One of those 3 new initiatives is what we're calling the Edgecombe Works Promise Program. This is the program that is a scholarship program that is managed by Edgecombe Community College alongside their other scholarship programs. Our priorities for this are all have to be Edgecombe County residents, unemployed or underemployed, recent high school graduates, or county employees. So we budgeted $75,000 in this line for the community college to manage for us. You'll see that for certain certificate programs, they can get up to $500 per semester. For other programs, longer-term credential programs, up to $1,000 per student. The purpose of this is not only to pay for tuition, books, and fees, but also to help cover some of those other costs as it relates to being able to attend and successfully complete school. You'll remember we brought this to your attention. We saw it as a need because, as Dr. McLeod described to us, there are many students that they may even get, say, Pell Grant or something else, but there's still some financial gap there. We want to help cover those gaps. We want to help our residents to be able to get the credentialing training that they need. You know, the gentleman from My Future NC talked about that statewide initiative, our goal to get more credentials in the hands of our citizens, and that certainly will help with that. So I want to say thank you to Dr. McLeod and his staff for basically taking the vision of this and putting meat to it. This is now on the community college's website. I included a printout of their webpage. If you know someone who may fall into one of those categories, may be interested in this, they can go to the community college's website and see information on who they are, who they should call about that. We'll have more information coming soon about the other 2 initiatives under that Edgecombe Works program. So I think that's a great thing. This is a new program for us, and it's a great thing for the county and making available for our citizens.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I was really for this Edgecombe Works, but when you say county employees, They're already employed. I thought we were going after people who were not employed.
Well, they could be underemployed. For example, you may have someone that's in a, I'm just, maybe dangerous, let's just say we have a custodian who has aspirations for a better paying job, for their family. They could possibly get some training and credentialing to help them to get a better job.
I already thought you had that through the county. Somebody was going to school, something like that.
We have training specific to a position. We also have some educational incentives where if you get an associate's degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, you get a one-time bonus for that. But we have nothing in place where we pay for somebody to get training that's outside of what they currently do.
Any other question or comment? Anything from commissioners?
Well, last thing, Mr. Chairman, if I could, it's not on the agenda for manager report, but I do want to let you know, we have a firm that is interested in constructing, leasing from the county property that we own and constructing a communications tower. They're interested in property that we own, and I have a map at your place. It is near Kingsborough Industrial Park. It is just south of QVC facility. You'll see there, it's separate from your agenda packet. I think it was laid loose there. Yep, that's it right there. Yes, sir. And so it is just south of the QVC facility. It's on a parcel that we own, is right next to the water tank that we have there at Kingsborough. And so they want to offer $850 lease per month for a 10-year contract. We're considering in that contract the option to renew 3 successive times at 5 years each. However, before you can consider to vote on this, statutes require that a 30-day notice be published. And so unless you as a board are totally against this, I recommend that you at least allow staff to post this notice. We can bring this back to you at your November meeting for your consideration and possible approval.
This is land that it will not negatively impact anything.
No, sir. It's a small little sliver there. That map might be a little small to see it. It's a
Any objections from the board?
small little sliver.
Hearing none, move ahead.
Okay, we'll post that notice and bring it back to you in November. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioners, anything from commissioners?
Yes, sir. If you remember, last month when we were sitting here about this same time, I told you I would hold it till next time. Well, here we are at 10 minutes past 10. And that's the real thing I want to bring up first, is it's 10 minutes past 10. We have two female commissioners who I love. We got 6 other additional females sitting here. It's 10 minutes past 10. They don't need to be getting on the highway at 10 minutes past 10. They don't need to be walking out of this building. My proposal would be, and I don't mean to sprinkle anybody, we can talk about it later, but I think for staff, they're already here. I think our meeting time needs to be 6 o'clock. It seems like the agenda for each meeting continues to grow and grow and grow. And I just think it would be great if we met at 6 o'clock rather than 7. If we're going to continue to be here, I mean, it's not fair to Mr. Pike, it's not fair to Ms. Jordan, it's not fair to these ladies to be sitting here at this time. That's all I gotta say. Well, you know, you're exactly right. And I mean, I don't want to rock nobody's boat. If everybody wants to stay here and meet at 7 o'clock, I'll be with you here in the morning at breakfast at 6. But our news person here, Mr. Walker, if we could meet at 6, I think it would be advantageous to all of us. I mean, it's time to be in the bed here in a little while, and we ain't had supper yet.
Any thoughts on?
And we got a guy over here that's going to be a new father, and I can tell you, his wife's going to be all over his butt if he ain't home by this time in the next few months.
Any thoughts on what Commissioner Webb has put on the table?
Think about it, this.
As long as it's after 5 o'clock, it ain't bothering me.
I agree with it.
Anybody else?
I agree with
I don't think we've had a meeting in before 10.
Well, we've had,
it. Yeah, we used to.
you know, the other options you could be, you know, what if we are once on one board, which means we're taking care of all of the business of the county in one meeting. some boards split it up, but I'm prepared to, whatever the board discusses, and I heard from 3 commissioners that had no disagreement on it. Any other commissioners?
I'm good. I had a weekend.
It appears that,
Is something in the statute that we got to, or anywhere?
is it something that we have to change, that we would have to change?
We do each December, and Ms. Wingo will correct me, but I believe each December we set the schedule for the full year, so that may be an opportunity to do.
Okay.
No, then my suggestion is, it appears to be no opposition at our December meeting, when we set next year's schedule, we set it for next year's schedule. Any objections? Hearing none, it appears that we are on board, but that was changed when we do our December meeting. Any objections? You all right with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. One other thing.
Go ahead.
Back in August, we had a fire down, I guess you could say, my way. And even though I'm in the Macclesfield Fire District, the call that I got from a concerned citizen was they were in the South Edgecombe Fire District. It was on a Friday evening, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't think I am. The couple was boiling peanuts, and an outside 20-pound cylinder was firing everything up. Well, of all things, they had an underground 500-gallon tank that decided to spring a leak. The tank, not the copper tubing, but the tank itself. And so fire was springing up all over the yard and getting ignited. And the issue I want to bring up, and I brought this issue to Mr. Evans, and we got a response from Mr. Brown. And the response was fine, but his response is what has spurred me to bring this before you, and I was going to ask him a question if he's here. The real issue that happened was the home is in the South Edgecombe Fire District, and the South Edgecombe Fire District firemen, 3 showed up on their personal vehicles. And after the fire was basically out, I think South Edgecombe finally did send a tanker after the fire was out. So Macclesfield responds to the fire. South Edgecombe does not, and the person in the South Edgecombe district. So you know what their comment was. My money's going, if Macclesfield's going to be the one responding, don't get me wrong, he was very nice gentleman. He's just thinking, okay, why did Macclesfield come? What happened to the South Edgecombe issue? And then of all things, the backup that came and backed everybody up was Bakertown Fire Department out of Wilson. I mean, I'm sitting here saying, as a board of commissioners or whatever, or manager, we need to send Bakertown some money. I mean, South Edgecombe finally sends a truck with some water in it after the fire is out. But Bakertown has to respond and back up Macclesfield because they were the primary sponsor? Okay.
Why didn't South Edgecombe come?
You tell me.
Oh.
Well, his response was, and again, this is it, and I'll calm down. I'll try to. Okay. Give me a minute. No. Mr. Brown's response mentioned the fact that the volunteer firemen in all of our areas now is no longer what it used to be years ago. Years ago, everybody wanted to be a volunteer fireman. Now you can't find them. My question is in regards to safety, has it dropped to such a low number of people wanting to get involved with, like South Edgecombe Fire Department, Maxwell Fire, or have we got an issue there? That's my question. Do we truly have an issue from the standpoint that we don't have enough volunteer firemen, that we have a need to be very concerned in Edgecombe County at this point in time? I mean, that just makes no sense to me. We either need to change this gentleman. We talked about school districts. Well, what do we need to change? Fire districts?
Well, I mean, you got a problem with all the local volunteer fire departments with volunteers, number one. Number two, most of them now employ workers.
Yeah.
At least 2 people to respond with a truck. And if that's what it needs to be, then that's what it needs to be.
Well,
you know, I don't know what's going on. They
Yeah.
also have mutual aid agreements, which I'm totally confused about, that they didn't tone out mutual aid for Edgecombe County Fire Department. There's other folks that could have supported.
Well, yeah, that's what you got a few issues there, and I'm not upset with Mr. Brown's response to me, but it still leaves me hanging with lots of questions.
Yeah, well,
I mean, if Bakertown backs them up and brings a fire truck with their individuals there to fight the fire, I mean, he sent a really nice letter in regards to why they had to let the fire, kind of go out on its own rather than start spraying, and understand that. I mean,
But I think we've been attempting to address some of those issues by what we were planning to do in the Kingsborough. I think we've been talking about us having a fire department, a central location anyway, that we would staff. And there are staffing issues in terms of how we build up our county base to be able to back up some of these volunteer fire departments. And for some times, I think we've been having some of those issues as relates to back up, and we're not getting the response from the volunteers that we used to. And sometimes, they're not. I don't think this is the only case. This might be the only case that you know about.
You're right.
As it relates to
Right.
that. But I think that we have been talking about how we address that issue, and probably with some Kingsborough site in terms of what we need to fund there that can help us throughout the county with a response or with a backup response, that we'll be able to assist all of those local units. But I think that is a continuing conversation
Yes.
that we need to have aboard, and how we address it. And from what I've heard from some of the previous discussion, I think we're committed to do that.
Yeah, well, I will admit it was a Friday, but, before I say I admit, it was a Friday night. And a lot of, there, if you want to hide anything, hide it in the stove, because everybody goes out to eat on Friday night.
Not everybody.
Yeah, 9 out of 10. And, so that could have been one of the problems, but, the deal is you don't know when you're going to have a fire. You know if it's going to be on a Friday night or a Monday night. And we just need to, if the citizens need to be alerted to the fact that we got a problem, then we need to do something.
Sure, we certainly will follow up with that situation specifically, the broader issue more generally, and bring something back to the board for you all to discuss.
I think you need to look into that. There was something went awry.
On the mutual aid agreement.
Mutual aid agreement.
And,
Somebody didn't.
The property owner that contacted me is he has served on the fire department, he's served on various boards in the county. He's a wonderful gentleman, and he didn't attack me to attack us. Very, very nice. As this young lady presented before us tonight, I just want to go hug her neck and say thank you. The young lady was talking about school representation. For the first time, somebody came to us tonight in a gentle manner and requested something. I wanted to kiss her.
Angela Brown.
No, it wasn't Miss Bryant, it's the lady on the 3rd row, right back
Okay, the
there.
other lady.
From
Oh,
Rocky
talking
Mountain.
about-
Oh, yeah.
Bless her. Bless her for not chastising us and knowing how to ask. You attract a lot more flies with sugar than you do with vinegar. That's my spiel for tonight.
I thought you were talking about me.
Any more spills from any other county commission? Go ahead.
This will be my last comment about cars for the night. How about that? I would like to ask the manager to go ahead and appropriate the funds, the $1.125 million from the fund balance. Because we heard from Enterprise tonight, this doesn't solve the sheriff's issue. So now that I can concede that we're going to purchase the cars, Enterprise told us tonight it could take 6 months to find a car. So then we have 3 or 4 months of negotiating with Nash County to try and get the money for it. We have the fund balance here. Let's empower our sheriff to go find the cars now. We have the ability to let him do that. And then we'll figure out the budget amendments to get it back into the necessary once we have the money from Nash County.
Well, I think we've already empowered the manager to do that by the motion that we made.
We did not make that motion. We made the motion to do it after he received the funds from Nash County.
That was not in the motion.
Well, that was his recommendation.
What the motion said was, let me see. The motion
And that's what I
said,
was gonna say when we meet in the closed session.
no, the motion said empowered the county manager to proceed with the purchase of 20 vehicles for the sheriff's office. That's what the motion said.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I clarified that then, because I was under the impression that we were using the Nash County.
It didn't specifically state it in the manner that you stated it, okay? but it empowers the manager to move.
Forward. Depends on what the motion says. You need to go back and read it, I guess.
Yeah,
Find out.
that was not the way I interpreted the motion. I interpreted the motion that we wrote, that we accepted the manager's recommendation to wait for the funds from Nash
We
County.
didn't, the motion didn't say anything about waiting.
I asked that question.
The motion-
That's what his proposal says.
The
That's what his
motion
attachment
was,
says.
motion was stated, I read the motion, I read his recommendation, and his recommendation again was what it was,
But our discussion
recommend
was that
to
we would
proceed,
go ahead and do it.
the motion authorize the manager to proceed with the purchase of 20 vehicles for the sheriff's office, but it's in his time frame, based on where he decide the funds come from.
Yeah, and that's what I want to clarify. I would like for that time frame to be moved up to now.
Well, you lost that motion back when we already approved that one, unless you're talking about redoing what we've done.
No, I'm just saying, I guess it would be a separate motion to say that it's not contingent on the sale of the building for Nash County. It's contingent on us just authorizing him to spend the
Well,
one.
you know, it's up to the board, but that would be pretty much undermining what we've already done.
Is it okay for the board to say that there's a consensus, everybody agrees, the understanding of the motion that was passed to be for me to proceed now, not to wait?
Right now.
Yes.
I would have no objections to that.
Tomorrow, yeah.
And that would be the intent. To me, as I was explaining, that was the intent of the motion. If you could proceed to buy cars now, proceed to do that. But it was just giving the manager without putting targeting or putting a time frame on it. It was giving him the authority to do that. And it appears to be no objections from proceeding now.
I'll let you know what we'll do is we know the cars, the vehicles the sheriff wants. We will proceed with the legwork that we have to do to identify, get quotes, those kinds of things. We will bring back to you at your November meeting a budget amendment to appropriate that from fund balance. But in the meantime, we can start the procurement process.
Are any of those vehicles Fords?
No.
No, they're not making.
Not what was
they're not making
proposed.
police cars.
Any other
Good
comments?
salesman for them.
It appears that there's a consensus of the board for you to proceed as you stated,
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair.
which is the same thing that Mr. Thorne said. I would have no objections to that.
Buy them cars for you.
Anything else to comment? Anything from the attorney?
Yes, sir.
If not, a motion to go into closed session discussing economic development.
So be.
Second.
All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye. All opposed? Ladies and gentlemen, we are now scheduled to go into closed session discussing economic development.
You ain't never too late to be Where?
That's what it is.
That sound dog here, what's
I need nobody to talk to me, 'cause I got something to tell you.
It's break time.
It's too late for me to eat that.
No, it ain't too late. Gotta wait for the bed at 12 o'clock.
Eric, I need one of those two people to represent you on the Boys and Girls Club.
On the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, cause your name up there, but you haven't been able to make any meetings. So,
No,
you know,
Ron has been after me to be on that board for a long time, and I've said I support it anyway. I can't serve on that board, so I should not be on that list.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe as a guest invited, but I've never been appointed to that board.
okay, well, let me get them
I'm gonna give you my 2 cents worth. That lady had been here.
We're live.
Hold it. You on TikTok? Whatever we on?
YouTube.
I better hush, then. I sure better hush. If I'm on TikTok.
You get ready to be.
I could bring some money in for the county, I'll bet you that.
Is there anything else to come in open session?
No, sir, nothing from staff.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye. Aye. All opposed? I thought we was on TikTok. Go ahead.
Let's turn it off.
You have to sing and dance or something.
Oh, do you? Oh, okay.
Not necessarily.
Nobody watch it if you don't sing and dance on TikTok.
Yeah, we might.
Sounds like Commissioner Webb wants to start an Edgecombe Commissioner's TikTok.
Yeah.